This is Parvin Dabas, and back on the MMA India Show, we have a super episode for you today. A huge episode. First, we do the post-fight review, me and Akhilesh, and we are joined by LoudMouth MMA's Kyle. And we do the post-fight review of UFC Nashville with him. And after that, we have a lot of interviews for you from Brave 5, which happened in Mumbai, and we were there. We saw all the action live, and it was really exciting. We have Gurdarshan Singh Mangat, who beat Abdul Munir. That was a huge rivalry, which got everybody very excited about the fight, and rightfully so. After that, we have Mohammed Farhad, who won his fight against Irfan Khan. He was supposed to fight someone else, but he got injured. We then have, and Mohammed Farhad is one of the brightest Indian MMA stars, so very excited to be talking to him again and who he's going to fight with next. Then we have Aditya PS, who is the president of the All India Mixed Martial Arts Federation. He's talking to us about the future plans of both the Federation and Brave as well. The good thing is he did keep his word. We had spoken to him sometime back in an interview which hasn't been published yet, and we had asked him about the potential conflict of interest of Brave coming to India, where he would be the KHK and Brave India president, and also the Federation president. And he had told us the minute Brave comes to India, he would step down from Brave and KHK. And we're happy to say he did keep his word, and he has stepped down. So right now he's only the president of the Federation. He is shifted his roles now at KHK to become the vice president of KHK Holdings. And then we have Paulo Goncalves Silva, a brilliant Brazilian fighter who was also fighting on the Brave 5 card in Mumbai. There was a controversial stoppage, which he felt it was stopped early. He was still defending himself. And the referee, of course, stepped in, Scott, and stopped the fight, though. So we're going to be talking to him about that as well, and a whole lot of other things. So stay tuned. Here is the episode. Welcome back to the MMA India Show. This is your host, Parvin Dabas, with Akhilesh Gannavarapu, and we have a special guest on the show today. We have Kyle Steele from LoudMouth MMA. Welcome, and thank you, Kyle, for joining us on the show.
Yes, hello, thank you. I know it's morning for you guys,
yes.
So I appreciate you taking the time to do this and adjusting your schedule for me. It's pretty late for me. You know, it's 11:45. I work in the morning, but I'm going to hang tough. I'm excited to talk about the fight.
Thank you. So thanks for hanging in there. So, you know, we want to basically talk about two things, right? Now, we want to talk about, of course, in UFC Nashville, we want to talk about Al Quinta's relationship now with the UFC first. That's what we want to talk about. And then, of course, talk about the main event. So, Al Quinta, of course, after his KO over Diego, you know, he looked very strong. But, of course, he said came back very strong on Twitter for not getting the bonus. You know, he told UFC to go fuck themselves, which is never a great thing to do to say to your employer. But, you know, he has had this back and forth relationship with them, and he's coming back after 2 years exactly because they probably kept him on the shelf to, you know, to make him behave.
Well, he was originally supposed to fight on UFC 200. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was on UFC 200 for the longest time, and he wound up pulling out basically because of money. He didn't like the money he was being offered. So is the woes of the UFC. You know, that story is not unique to him. That seems to be the story with multiple fighters. You know, He seems to be doing all right selling real estate. He plugged it right when he got done with the fight, of course. One of the oddest post-fight interviews that we've seen in quite some time from a fighter. Very uncomfortable. He's a weird guy. I mean, he's a weird guy. And so I'm not surprised at what happened after with that little interview. That's not shocking. He's a super, super weird guy. I'm not surprised that he lashed out at the UFC.
Is he weird, or is he just New York?
I think he's just weird.
Okay.
I think he's just weird. Yeah, I think he's just a weird dude. So yeah, I mean, nothing's really surprising. To be honest with you, the fact that he was fighting back in the UFC in the first place is probably the most odd thing to me. Everything that's happened after that, to me, isn't that weird. I mean, or out of the norm, I guess I should say.
But even if you see his last fight, I think that was the last fight when he told the audience to go fuck themselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's a gimmick. I don't know if that's just his gimmick. It very well could be. I heard him on right after he pulled out of UFC 200. He went on Chael Sonnen's show, and I listened to that interview. That's a really good one. You'd have to kind of dig in the archives to find it. But that was a really good interview, and it helped me kind of understand him more. And it kind of made me feel like this wasn't a gimmick. That it's just, this is who, kind of like with Mike Perry. I had Mike Perry on my show. He fought on this card. And one of the things I took away from talking to Mike Perry was, he's not fake. The Mike Perry that you see and the Mike Perry that many people hate is Mike Perry. They're not hating a fictionalized version of Mike Perry. They're not liking Mike Perry, right? And for me, I love it. I think it's great. I like I like the thing that he does. I understand why people don't like it, but yeah. So I think with Al Iaquinta, I don't think it's fake. I think he's just. I think he's kind of an odd guy. I think he's a confrontational guy, and I think he's someone who he thinks that he is one of the top talents in the UFC, and he feels like nobody in the UFC treats him that way, fighters included.
Right. At the same time, we also have to keep in mind that UFC brought him for the same amount that they were paying him before. So essentially, it was like, just to kind of told him, you either take the deal or you don't fight. But at the same time, he kind of understood where Iaquinta was coming from, because this has been the norm for a lot of fighters before. You have a lot of fighters, including Cole Miller, for example, saying, when an event was postponed, it was cancelled because the main eventers pulled out. He got paid the show money, and he was like, why am I getting paid show money and not the win bonus? Because then when you cancel out how much I spent for the camp and how much I'm $500. So you kind of understand where the fighters are coming from, but at the same time, he kind of took his aggression and made use of it. He plugged his real estate business on air. Then at the same time, while he high-fived Sean Shelby after the fight, right after going off, once the fight bonuses were announced, then he started going against the company. Good gimmick. I think if it's something that we take into context as a gimmick, then that's something that can work in his favor, similar to the Diaz brothers. They kind of made a name for themselves to begin with as the anti-establishment guys. So I think that's good in a certain way, but at the same time, you cannot just bash a company on social media and then expect to get good fights, get promoted properly, being marketed well. So all in all, yeah, as you said, he's a very interesting character. The fight itself, you kind of saw this going the way it did because Diego Sanchez, for the past couple of fights, he just leaves himself open. Now, what was interesting was you had Todd Grisham, you had all these guys talking about how he's going to be very patient going in the fight. That's not Diego Sanchez that we know. So, yeah, I mean, it was a weird fight. Weird fight and a weird post-fight interview as well.
Yeah, I mean, the post-fight interview really, I mean, the reason why he didn't get that, and I might be skipping ahead a little bit, but the reason why he didn't get the bonus, to me, is pretty obvious, which is what happened is what everybody thought was going to happen. So if that's the case, I don't think you're going to get a bonus. It's almost like he fought the wrong person to get a bonus. The result of that fight was pretty much carved in stone the moment the fight was booked. Where with Brandon Moreno, I think a lot of people were leaning him. I was leaning Brandon Moreno. I think a lot of other people were as well. Certainly none of us were imagining he was going to get the finish. I mean, I think it wasn't out of the question, but pretty close to being out of the question that Brandon Moreno is going to be able to finish Dustin Ortiz, a guy who is incredibly hard to finish in the octagon. Very, very hard to finish. Even if we were leaning him winning, getting that finish was shocking. Where Al Iaquinta's finish wasn't that shocking. So I think that's why Moreno got the nod, and because that's really who it was. Mike Perry was obviously getting the finish bonus. I mean that's an early contender for knockout of the year. A short little elbow knockout, incredible. So that was that. So really, it was between Moreno and Al Iaquinta. And I think what made the difference was that Moreno's was much more shocking. And again, this kid is riding this incredible wave, right? 16th seed on the Ultimate Fighter, losing his first fight against Pantoja, then coming into the UFC and stringing together some amazing wins. So, yeah, I mean, sorry, Al Iaquinta, if you want to get a bonus, fight somebody who you weren't going to knock out. I mean, everybody knew you were going to knock him out. It was not a question.
But then again, he was coming off a long layoff, so you cannot throw him into the deep end against someone that's very active. Streak. So
very true.
Very true. You kind of see it both ways, but at the same time, if you're Iaquinta, you'd be pissed legitimately because you just had this big bust up with the organization because you weren't paying well. Then they bring you back for the same amount. Then when you think, okay, I got the quick win, but you kind of expect to get those $50,000. But seeing that go to a guy who was not even in the main card, a younger guy.
Another thing that happened, I think, which I forgot on which show I saw it, but apparently he said he was not feeling well or an injury or something, and then he took a picture on the beach, and put it up on social media somewhere the very next day. And I think Joe Silva or somebody must have seen it, and they messaged him like, "What the fuck? You're supposed to be injured and you said you couldn't fight and here you are chilling on the beach." So I think that had something to do with it as well, whereas he said, listen, I was recuperating. I wasn't, having a holiday. I was recuperating. So, it's a testy relationship. Don't see it getting better as of now, at least.
Neither do I. Yeah. Neither do I. And maybe that's just a part of the gimmick. I really don't. I feel like, though, if it is a part of the gimmick, waiting 2 years, like that's probably, you're taking the gimmick too far. Yeah. So maybe you want to lessen the gimmick and come back a little sooner next time.
Yeah. Cool. So just before we go on to Cub Swanson and Artem Lobov, we're going to take a very quick break. Okay, we're back. And talking about the main event, Cub Swanson versus Artem Lobov. Now, Artem Lobov, of course, hit the jackpot just getting this fight. A main event by calling out Cub Swanson, calling him names, which is why he was doing it. It was pretty obvious he was goading him into accepting the fight, and it worked. And, Cub Swanson, of course, is on a different level, but Artem gave a good display. The fact that he was able to last all, rounds and not get knocked out, though everybody was thinking there might be a chance, and that's what Artem was hoping for, for that out of the blue knockout from his side, which didn't happen, of course.
Yeah, I think this is the great thing about doing a podcast, is that it's a love and a hate, because I get to set in stone these things where I go, guys, I don't know why everybody's saying that Cub Swanson's going to get a finish here. It's not happening, right? Guys, this is going to be a great fight. This could be just as good of a fight as Du Ho Choi, right? I get to set that in stone. Now, we'll ignore everything that I got wrong, right? But I did call this fight right. So let's just pretend that this is the only thing we talked about on my breakdown this week. Was just this fight, because I got a whole bunch of other stuff wrong. But this fight went, honest to God, it went exactly as planned. I think this is exactly how this fight was going to look. Artem Lobov, listen, he was outclassed. That's for sure. He was outclassed. He handedly lost the fight. There's nobody that thought he won that fight. But he looked how I think Artem Lobov was supposed to look here. And the reason why people were giving Lobov kind of a, quote, puncher's chance, to use an overused phrase, but giving him a, quote, puncher's chance, it wasn't even necessarily that he at one point has had this power, but it's that you knew he wasn't going to get knocked out. And anytime you can stretch something out into the 5th round against a guy who's going to have the type of output that you knew you were going to see from Cub Swanson, you could potentially get a, holy shit, Cub Swanson is crawling onto the canvas to start round 5, and Artem Lobov looks like he's doing a lot better in the cardio department. Artem Lobov just got a TKO. Right, like that's, I think, what I thought. If Artem Lobov was going to win, that's what it was going to look like. It was going to be Cub Swanson's stomach moving up and down 200 miles an hour to start the 5th round, and Artem Lobov just a little bit fresher. That wound up not being the case. But yeah, I mean, I think this looked how it was going to look. And this isn't even overhype Lobov, because I think that's what's happening now, because so many people, I think, weren't clued in on this fight the way that they should have been, which is, guys, Lobov does not get finished. I mean, this dude has taken so many shots and keeps moving forward, keeps driving forward. It does not matter, and this was not going to be any different. So now not everyone, but a lot of people are like really shocked. So I think they're like, oh, maybe Lobov is going to get his stuff together. No, I mean, he's still Artem Lobov. That didn't change. He is who he is. And he looked how he was supposed to look. He looked how he was, again, kind of talk about the Eli Kenta fight. I mean, this fight was not very surprising. I mean, this is exactly what this fight was supposed to look like. It doesn't happen very often in MMA, where fights like kind of go how they're supposed to go. This was one of those fights. It went exactly how it was supposed to go.
Do you think Cub Swanson gave too much respect to Artem's left hand? Because he was... every time he was hitting, he was, of course, getting his head out of the way, which is the thing you should do. But he wasn't really letting go, because he was always expecting that counter and and really ducking away. So do you think, I mean, of course, that played a big, because that must have been on Cub's mind all the time to avoid that. But do you think he became a little overcautious because of that and didn't really let go?
Yeah, so I think, if anything, I think Cub Swanson... I think some of the nerves, this is like the first fight where Cub Swanson has been treated as this paramounted favorite, right? Go through his list. There's not been a single fight that he's been involved in where he was this big of a favorite, this big of a lock. So if anything, I think that put a lot of pressure on him, because you can't be that big of a favorite, that big of a lock, and go in there and pull a Rousey home. Right? Like... he would never be able to bounce back from that. So, especially given all the shit talk surrounding this fight and the McGregor and all that kind of stuff. So, I think if anything, some timidity was from that. Yeah, I mean, and also just not really knowing what kind of power, because it's weird. Artem Lobov does not have that many knockouts on his record, but he plowed through that tough house once he got that redemption thing where he got back on, after losing a fight, and just plowed through people until he met Ryan Hall. Well, we've seen Ryan Hall fight since then. That's a tough motherfucker to fight. I mean, and in all reality, Artem Lobov has looked the best against Ryan Hall as we've seen so far. Right? Gray Maynard looked like whatever that fight was. What was the fight right before Gray Maynard? I don't even remember. But anyway, Lobov actually put up a decent little fight against Ryan Hall. I mean, made it pretty damn close. So... yeah, I just think Artem is sneaky, is better than he's certainly better than his record. That's an understatement. He's better than his record. So yeah, probably gave a little too much respect to the left hand. But again, I don't know if he knew what to expect. You know, I think it, you know, and he probably did get, I mean, at one point he did get, I remember those moments going, ooh, like, are we about to see an Artem Lobov win here?
Yeah.
Like, there was a couple moments like that. And I can also imagine, I'm not a fighter, but I can imagine when you're in a fight with someone and you're throwing punches, you're getting tired, and every time you look up, this dude is right in your face again. Like, I can imagine that that's really unsettling. You know, like, and thinking, like, I'm getting more tired, he doesn't look tired, like, how are his punches still going to be as hard, right? I just can imagine that also playing a role. But the big one, I think, being a huge favorite. I think that's I think we can't understate that. That's a big deal. And now we know he can deal with it. So congratulations to Cub, because he dealt with it, you know, maybe a little timid, but yeah, he dealt with it.
You know, another thing I've seen from all the fighters from SPG is they don't have a lot of movement, you know, and Conor has spoken about being efficient with their movement. And movement, I'm saying a lot of fighters, you know, are always trying to, these guys stay pretty in front of you. It's almost like they don't give a fuck. You know, they're saving their energy, and which is why if you look at Gunnar Nelson, if you look at Artem, if you look at Conor as well, apart from the second Nate Diaz fight where, of course, he was doing the whole resetting thing, you know, but more or less they're in front of you, and, you know, and just kind of waiting for that opening, engaging as well. But, you know, there's a lot of other fights who are, you know, like a Michael Bisping or something, who's moving around all the time, and a lot of the other guys. But these guys are steady and saving a lot of energy with that, I would feel.
Well, and again, I mean, just talking about unsettling, I mean, you know, you're doing, because Cub Swanson is a guy that's very creative, moves around a lot, and you're watching a guy who's stalking you. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe the type of movement you see out of that camp. It's very stalking. And that conservation of movement, right? It's don't move more than you need to, because that's how you conserve energy. That's how you conserve power. It's also how you get angles, because if you're constantly moving, eventually you're going to be very predictable. If you're stalking and you're sliding in and out of stuff, right, like Conor's known to do, and obviously Artem's trying to do, and people from that gym are trying to emulate those movements, you're a lot harder to get a beat on, because you're just coming at these funky places and funky angles.
Right.
Akhilesh?
Yeah, so just, you know, I'll just chip in with the movement theory before going into the fight. So I think it's, if you look at the styles of, say, Lobov, Gunnar Nelson, and Conor McGregor, it's kind of more side-on with your right shoulder before you, so that when someone throws a punch, it takes more time for them to connect, and you have the opportunity to connect with a counter. So I think it's that, and as you said, there's not much head movement. It's all about, you know, the way you can slide in and slide out. That's the kind of style that I would describe, you know, what they have. So it's very efficient, but at the same time you're giving yourself an opportunity to counter before, you know, someone else lands, and you can always block with your other shoulder. So that's a very scientific, a very technical approach by the SPG fighters. Rivera, in a sense that there's one guy that had a lot to lose than the other. You know, if we've known, you know, going into the fight, Artem Lobov was the underwhelming underdog. You know, a lot of people expected Cub Swanson to finish Artem Lobov, mainly because of what he did to Do Choi. Now, at the same time, Artem Lobov hasn't been finished, from what I remember, for 6 years, and the last time he lost was through submission, so it wasn't through strikes. You kind of knew going into the fight that Artem Lobov had the chin, had what it took to stand in front of someone like Cub Swanson with that high output, high volume, but at the same time, you know, had the wherewithal to kind of negate what Cub Swanson was throwing. Now in the first round, what I found was interesting was it was Artem Lobov was putting more pressure. Now, he was the one coming forward. He took Cub Swanson down, and as the rounds moved on, it was Cub Swanson that was, you know, being the aggressor. And in the third or fourth round, you know, I remember Swanson taking a punch to the face, because going into the fight, Swanson said, "Hey, I want to prove myself. I want to take the best shot that Artem Lobov had, smile at him, and show him that I wasn't hurt." And he did that. So it was more mental. I think, Cub Swanson wanted to prove a point. At the same time, Adam Lobov, one of the most durable fighters in the UFC, in the division in particular. So it was a very interesting clash of styles. You had a lot of people kind of underestimating Adam Lobov and making a joke out of him. Most of the people did not even understand why Adam Lobov was headlining a fight night, and that too against Cub Swanson, who was ranked number 4. So yeah, as Kyle said, if Adam had won, it would have done phenomenally well for his stock in the UFC. But at the same time, a loss for Cub Swanson would have meant, he was on the verge of getting a title shot. He's just right at the doorstep. But a loss would send him down the pecking order. So, yeah, I mean, and if we talked to Adam Lobov before the fight as well, and he said a lot of people kind of underestimate what I'm capable of. Now, what he also said was his last fight in Cub Swanson's last fight, he took a lot of damage. I'm sure I can crack that. I don't think he can take my punches. So maybe you might think that those were mind games. He did not mean what he said. But at the same time, there was a lot at stake for Cub Swanson than what it was for Adam Lobov. And Adam Lobov came out as a winner. He did not come out as a loser, just because of his ability to stay in the fight. And I remember Lobov getting cracked 3 or 4 times during the fight where he wobbled. But at the same time, in a couple of seconds, he was steady once again. He's right in front of Cub Swanson. So, Lobov came out as a winner. He did not come out as a loser. But at the same time, if he managed to beat someone like Cub Swanson, that would have done a lot of damage to Cub.
Yeah, and honestly, this fight went exactly how it should have gone on a different level too, which is, okay, if Artem Lobov would have won, what? Artem Lobov is a top 10 featherweight now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably just about what would have happened. So I'm thankful that didn't happen. Okay? Now, conversely, Cub Swanson beating Artem Lobov, in the long run, what does that mean, really? Nothing. I mean, if you're thinking about Cub Swanson's next fights, or you're thinking about a title shot or whatever it was, you're not going, well, he did have that fight with Artem Lobov, right? Like, you're not thinking about that. But because it was a good fight, because Cub proved once again that he can get into this war, he can be super, super entertaining, I think he managed to help his stock. I think simply just beating Artem Lobov, I don't think it would have helped his stock. I don't think finishing Artem Lobov would have helped his stock. Honestly, I think kind of what helped the way that he was going to help his stock the most, I think, is the way that he just won. I think that's what he needed to do to help his stock as much as he could. Which at the end of the day wasn't that much, because you beat a guy who was 14-12. He did, and that's what it. I mean, you're 25-7 or 24-7 at the time. You just beat a guy who was 14-12. It is. I mean, it is what it is.
So at the end of the day, should these fights be happening? Because should you, excuse me, be taking a fight just because somebody calls you out?
Well,
and calls you names.
Yeah. No.
Because that. Yeah. Sorry. That's going to be, because otherwise that's going to be happening a lot.
The question, Yeah, the question I asked today. Sorry. The question I asked today was, is there something inherently wrong with the UFC ranking system? And if so, what are some ways to fix it? Right. So I was trying to get a conversation started with that. I don't want to just point out problems. I want to try to come up with some solutions. And at what point do we say, so at what point do we actually have some type of governing body that controls these rankings? Because I think right now they're basically just like a media drive. I'm not really sure where these rankings really come from. But at some point, should we have a more sophisticated ranking system, tracking system for these? And should we then really start transitioning into fighter pay and fights are dependent on these rankings? I mean, I just like that. We have to be heading that way. There's no way that Cub Swanson and Artem Lobov sold out a stadium. I mean, I find that very hard to believe. So we're not even talking about like, quote, money fights here. I mean, this wasn't a money fight. I mean, a little bit, but like not really. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think this fight should have happened. I'm okay that it did because it was an incredibly good fight. But yeah, nobody really had a whole lot to gain. I mean, Artem Lobov obviously had a lot to gain, but what he had to gain was, what is it? I don't know what the phrase is, but it's like a sand castle on a beach, like very easily getting washed away. I mean, you can't be a top 10 featherweight with that kind of the first fight you have against somebody else in the top 10, you would get beat. I mean, he's not that good. He's not that good of a fighter. So that's not a good way to say that, but you know what I mean. Like, Artem Lobov would beat the shit out of me. I'm just saying, like, in reference to other featherweights. I mean, he's not on that level. So he's certainly not on the level of Cub Swanson. Not even close. Not even close. In Cub Swanson, yeah, it was a quote closer fight than a lot of people were thinking. Cub Swanson outclassed him in every possible way. I mean, even in the boxing, I mean, he outclassed him. I mean, plain and simple. I mean, it looked like one person didn't belong in there. I mean, Cub Swanson did a good job at proving that. Like, this person does not belong in here, which harkens the question, yeah, he doesn't belong in here, so why is he in there?
Yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah. You mean he doesn't belong in there with Cub?
He certainly doesn't belong in there with Cub. And I firmly believe that if Conor McGregor wasn't in the picture, that Artem Lobov would not be in the UFC. I mean, and that's not even a shitty thing to say. I think that's just, see the forest through the trees. I mean, guys, he's 14-12. Now he's 14-13. And, he's not just losing to the Cub Swansons of the world. Okay, he lost to Alex White. I mean, what's Alex White done since that win? I'm going to pull it up real quick just so I can look at it. Since beating Artem Lobov, he's fought one time and where he lost to Tony Martin and lost pretty decisively, if I remember correctly. That was the infamous Tony Martin, like his cup popped out right at the beginning of the fight. But anyway, yeah, so, and before beating Artem Lobov, he had lost 2 straight to Lucas Martins and Clay Collard. I mean, there's no way that if Conor McGregor wasn't in the picture, there's no way that Artem Lobov is in the UFC. But it's like I'm okay with him being in the UFC because there is this interesting thing with Conor, right? And because he is a guy who, say what you will, dude's tough as fucking nails, man, and he'll just keep moving forward. He's a fun fighter to watch because he'll keep throwing leather. He'll stand right in front of you. It does not matter how much power you have, because how much power you have, he has been hit harder. He's taken full-on shots from McGregor. Nothing that you're going to throw at him is going to scare him. So, you know what I mean? He takes full shots from those guys at camp. That's why they keep him around. If he couldn't take a punch, he wouldn't be around. I think that's his purpose in that camp, is they need a punching bag, and that's who he is.
Right now, at the same time, I just wanted to chip in about the rankings. So usually UFC does its own rankings, but at the same time, you have the Share Dogs of the world, you have the other websites, MMA Junkies, where they bring in those 3-4 reporters from different websites and collate their own rankings. Now, the inherent problem with this is, and this is why a lot of people want, such an act would result in proper, fair rankings, proper, fair fights, and proper, fair fight purses for the fighters. You can't have that happening in MMA, because, where would all the shows, the entertainers be then? But at the same time, you kind of understood why Lobov was in the main event, because UFC fight nights, and they're on TV. They're not selling pay-per-views. They're selling out the arenas. Now with having the local fighters, you have Owen St. Preux, you have people from the native areas on the card. You're gonna draw good numbers anyways. So why would you bring in someone like, say, Jose Aldo, who is a really good fighter but probably not the pay-per-view king, and put him on a fight night? You wouldn't want to do that. You would want to give Jose his due respect. You would want to have those top 3-4 fighters or the champions on pay-per-views, not on fight. So saying that, in the featherweight division, who else could Cub Swanson have fought? let's look at the top 2 or 3 guys. Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar already lost to him. So realistically, you'd want Cub Swanson to face someone that he could beat and probably take something away from. Now, realistically, who else could you have brought in? Cub Swanson just had a phenomenal fight, previously. So I guess you would probably want him to match up with someone who has tremendous chin just to see how he fares. So I can probably see where UFC is coming from. At the same time, if you have proper rankings or proper channel through which the fights are made and the fights make sense, because in boxing you don't have a number 4 ranked fighter in the world going up against someone that's not even in the top 15. That's not a fair matchup. That would never happen. But that's how it happens in MMA. So there are contrasting things. Yes, there is a way that it can be improved, but I don't think anyone quite knows for sure this is the way to go about it, because you have a lot of people talking about MMA unions. Then people say that's not a good thing, because an MMA union would ensure that the fighters are paid properly and they get fair matchups. Then you have the talk of the Muhammad Ali Act being extended to MMA. Same thing would happen, but again, would that solve all the issues, all the problems that persist in a completely different sport than boxing? No one really knows. So it's an interesting dilemma. But at the same time, I kind of understand why UFC matched these two up. They had a legitimate beef. Adam Lobov, solid chin. Cub Swanson needed to get some more push before they push him into a title contention opportunity. So it's a dicey situation where I can see the views from both sides.
Cool. So, on that note, we look forward to some more of these entertaining matchups, which will probably
this is certainly not the last
for the other, I guess. So
at the same time, we saw what happens to Jimmy Rivera, a relatively unknown guy beating Uriah Faber, had a good game plan. So it's not like someone doesn't have to gain. You have someone that has everything to lose as well. So it's an interesting matchups.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, it was lovely having you on, and that's going to be it for today for us. We hope to have you back on the show sometime soon, of course. We on maybe one of the big cards or something. We'll be in touch, and we will let people know about your podcast.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, right? All that. I don't really upload stuff to YouTube because I don't do a lot of video content. I have a face for radio, so I usually try to stay on the. Okay. I usually try to stay on the audio medium. So yeah, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, all that jazz. You can find us there at LoudMouth MMA. We do recaps, we do breakdowns, we do news, we do interviews. Next week I will have the second installment of my Bruce Buffer interview. That's going to be pretty exciting. I interviewed him about a month and a half ago. We're meeting back up this week, and we're going to talk again, so I'm looking forward to it. So that'll be next week.
Great. Yep. Thanks so much, and we look forward
to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Seeing and chatting with you soon. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. Cheers. Cheers. And welcome to the MMA India Show, a really special episode and interview. We have with us Gurdarshan, Singh, Mangat, Saint Lion. Gary, thanks for making it on the show. Gary, as we all know, just defeated Abdul Munir at Brave 5 in Mumbai at the NSCI Dome. An amazing fight, and he stayed back a couple of days in Mumbai, India, so we were able to catch him for this interview and chat. We've had a couple of interviews with Gary over Skype, but it's nice to sit down finally and chat across the table, so to speak.
Definitely.
Gary, there was a lot leading up to this fight, of course. Now, as we know, there are a lot of these rivalries abroad, but this is the first time India has seen a rivalry like this in the country. As you know, we also hosted the first time face-off between you and Abdul. There are a lot of things which were said, and of course at the end of the day you guys shake hands and move on. How important is it to say call out fighters to make sure the fight is hype? What was, not just tell me when you called him out, let's go to the marketing side apart, but when you called him out, what was going through your mind? Was it because he had been voted by this the website as the best Indian fighter, or what was the reasoning behind calling him out?
That was part of it. Part of it was that I wanted to challenge myself against the so-called best Indian fighter that people were talking about. That was a name that was coming up when I would ask them who it was, or we wanted to progress Indian MMA. So they kept bringing it up, but they're like, he fights 2 weight classes above you. They're like, you're not going to be able to make that weight. I don't walk around at it. Like, I walked into this fight at 139 probably on the day of the fight. He was huge. I'd say he's easily 165. When he pinned me up, I could feel it. But this was the challenge that he could not make my weight class, so I had to come up to his. And this is the first time I've ever done it. That was my featherweight debut. And in that sense, it was just, that's kind of where it started from, just the challenge of it. The challenge of it, we wanted to bring MMA to India, and we wanted a big fight. And just, we also had 2 different ideas of representing the same flag, but with 2 different ideas behind it. He felt like I was disloyal because I'm an NRI, I live in Canada, but I carry the Indian flags. He felt like I was carrying it for profit or for marketing or for some sort of marketability, where that's not true at all. That's not why I carry it. And he believed that only the true Indians are the ones from India that remain in India and stay here. And I realized while being here, there's a lot of people that agree with him on that, but there's a lot of people that agree with me. And that's where the fight really built up to something else. It started becoming something else over the months. And
the way I see it is that is inconsequential. The reason being, you can take the Indian out of India, but you can't take India out of the Indian.
That's it, right? Because
we will all remain desis at the end of it.
And that's what it is. It was kind of him saying that anybody that's left India has become disloyal. We got Indians in Australia, we got them in the UK, Canada has some of the biggest population, the US. So it's one thing if I went to Canada and my parents are like, listen, we've come from India to Canada, forget about all your roots. Forget about everything that you know. But it's another thing that when I would come home from school, when my door used to shut at my house, my dad's like, you speak the mother tongue, you learn your ancestry, you learn your roots, that's what's going to give you strength. My parents never let me forget it. They never let me forget it. Those aren't roots from Canada. I was taught those roots in Canadian soil, but they started from here. And if you saw at the starting of the fight, there was chants going on. I've never felt more empowered. If I didn't believe in the chants that were going on in the crowd, I wouldn't have felt the way I did. If it was just some sort of marketing ploy, I believed in everything that was there. I was inspired. I was overwhelmed almost walking out, because I was like, I'm finally on the soil that my ancestors on. I'm going to war in this country.
I think what really caught people's imagination was the fact that it was real.
Yeah.
It didn't come across as forced. But we can't put aside the fact that these do help the fight. They do create interest, just like Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz is not forced.
And that's
it seems pretty natural. They're fucking throwing cans at each other.
It started becoming natural. It started like I was kind of like, is this going to be more like, what do we got? But then it started becoming
natural.
Something like
and they do help the fight then.
Yeah, it definitely did, and especially India. They love their drama, right?
Yeah.
And anywhere else, like UFC now has come a long way from when it started, when it was just about the matchups. People are more invested in these fights because of the drama that built up, and when the drama is genuine and it's real. And that's what it became. It started with the social media posts of him calling me out, and then obviously I said things to him. And then
did he call you out first, or you called him out?
He put up the first post
saying what?
The disloyal behind the flag. That this Indian is coming here. That he carries the flag.
Oh, okay. I never knew that. I thought you called him out.
No, he carries 2 flags, and I carry only 1 flag, the tricolors, and that's where it just started from that. And then, but the challenge was kind of behind the cameras that I was down for this fight if this fight could happen.
Yeah.
That I would move up 2 weight classes, that we were trying to negotiate him to meet me at a catch weight, and he didn't want to do it. And then I was like, okay, let's just move up. Yeah. Then from there it just started, and from there it became something else, and it just kept growing as the time went.
I think Abdul Munir is a really good fighter, and you did really well against him. He is one of the top fighters. But personally, if I was the matchmaker, I would have actually matched you against Mohammed Farhad, who was coming off of a win. Mm-hmm. And even though Abdul had he had a very tough, I don't want to say much tougher, but he had a very tough opponent in Masio Fulin. but Mohammed Farhad was coming off of a win, and there's a very different confidence that you get when coming off of a win. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I think part of the hype was, could I move up 2 weight classes and prove this?
Yeah.
Because now I can go back down to 135. I can go back to 125. I can challenge Mohammed now.
Yeah.
We can fight for the belt now, possibly, because he has an excellent record.
Yeah.
I forget what he is, but he has a great record, and I know Brave is definitely interested in setting that fight up.
Yeah.
But there was like a selling point to this, and there was a certain interest, like, can I move up, have the dice stacked against me with weight, with strength, with even the cage being smaller because it's better for a bigger man, him training on home soil, him being climatized, me start coming from a time, all those factors put together, and can I come out on top?
But now it can actually become like a Manmohan Desai film.
It can.
And I mean, I know Mohammed Farhad and Abdul well, they're great guys. So, and I say this with all due respect, but it can become like, Mohammed Farhad taking revenge for Abdul against Gary, which I think is a great hook to start with.
There's definitely a good chance that could be the next storyline.
The Badla match.
Yeah, that could be the next storyline. His best friend, his teammate, now trying to get redemption for the team, right? It's definitely like there's a lot of. The thing is, we're lucky now and we've exposed Indian MMA that it is a high level. It's not about where you train, honestly. And you can take guys like Conor McGregor, who are great examples of that, who stayed in Ireland, who stayed in Dublin, Ireland, who didn't go to like a Team Alpha Male, didn't go to a TriStar, didn't go to a certain thing. They stayed on their home soil because they found strength in it. It's about the environment you surround yourself with. Even my team, there's only 9 of us, and we just stick together. We train with the same guys. We have a good core group. We don't feel like we need to travel much anymore, and we just train all together. It's just we invested in our environment, and the same thing can happen here. It seems like they have a good crew of guys that can be brought up, and it makes for a lot of good matchups in the future.
Yeah, it does. Now, there were also accusations, fired across about steroids,
right?
Which is a serious thing to say, And I think in the interview with which we hosted with Abdul, you said all you guys are doing it,
right?
So, do you want to tell us a little about, do you have like some inside info, or, how do you, on what do you base it? Do you just base it on, looking or what?
I don't base it on just looking. Okay. There is inside information that I hear through past teammates and stuff like that. And you know what? Well, I'll leave it on that. I'll tell you right now, in mixed martial arts, I don't think any of that stuff helps you. If anything, it works against you. If he was on it, that might be why he gassed out quicker, but he kept bringing it. So at the end of the day, for that, whether he was on it or not, his heart certainly displayed itself in that fight. And that's what it really came down to in that fight. So for me, if it was, I don't know, like, we don't have a strict governing thing here. So
yeah, and I think that is needed. Now, to be very frank, at that time I was like literally cage side doing commentary, so I had a very good view. I thought Abdul displayed a lot of heart.
He did.
In that.
Yeah.
In that he never quit. Yeah. I think there was a difference in skill set, which showed through. Mm-hmm. But I think the reason and I could see it there in his eyes, he did not want to lose.
He was talking to me during the fight.
What was he saying?
It was crazy. He was talking. Well, I was talking to him too. I was. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I gotta keep beating you. I tap out. I'm gonna put you out.
He's like, maaf kar de bhai, maaf kar de.
Yeah, I'm just like, choose. I'm like, choose which way you want this to end. Choose. He's like, keep beating me. Keep bringing out the spirit. Come on, I want to be beat by the best Indian fighter. Keep beating me. And it was like that. And even his corner at one point was like, real focus on the fight. Get up, get up. He's keeping you down. You're losing the fight. He's like, and he tried to get up, but then I would always reposition myself and stuff. But he would just like, come on, brother, hit me harder. And it was interesting. And
I thought that's what made it a really good fight. That there was a lot of heart.
I hope it got captured on the audio and people can actually hear us, because we were right by the commentating area where
I couldn't hear you. I was right. I was doing guest commentary right there at that time, so we couldn't. We could see you saying stuff, but we couldn't hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I'm hoping that maybe some of it got captured in there, but it was interesting to listen to. I'm sure it was. I'd like to listen to it and hear what was being said.
So. What were we just talking about before that? Yeah, okay, so the steroid things, of course, we made clear. And I do feel we do need to, sooner or later, start testing
It's expensive to test. That's the problem. It's very expensive to test, especially for steroids. That's why even like big organizations in Asia, like UFC, it's hard for them to test. Like the UFC has to do it because of USADA. Yeah. USADA is a governing body. I believe somebody told me it was $5,000 a fighter per test. Wow. And these guys are testing year round. So how many fighters on the roster? 500, I believe. Yeah. So even like my teammate Jeremy Kendi, who's in the UFC, he was having to let USADA know at all times where he was in India that he was in India. He was in India. He had to check in with them. So they could have possibly just shown up here and they got to fly 2 people in here, take the test, fly back, analyze that test. Those are all costs right there. Yeah. So for
now coming back to the fight, it kind of went how we thought it would go. That Abdul would try to keep it, standing, right? And you would be much stronger on the ground. Mm-hmm. So that is kind of. Do you want to walk us through the fight a little more, apart from the talk between you guys?
So for the fight, I didn't think it was going to go to the ground so much. I really wanted to mix it up more, but I realized when we got in the cage, first of all, the cage was like half the size of what it was in my last fight. So I was like, okay, this cage is smaller. Also, he looked a lot bigger than he did. He seemed like he put on some considerable weight.
Since the weigh-in, you mean?
Since the weigh-in, yeah. He definitely looked like he was in the 160s and stuff like that. I was like, oh, man. And me on the day of the fight, I'm always 139 probably because I'm so nervous. There's so much anxiety, and I can't eat all day. I hadn't eaten a meal all day that day. So in that sense, it was just... Once it started, he had hard punches. He had very hard overhands and stuff like that. And him cutting off the cage, which was already small enough, caused a problem for me also. So him pinning me up against, from there, it was just my timing on takedowns. My reaction takedowns are some of the best.
And I think there was a couple of times, there were a lot of clinches where you were reversing positions.
Yeah. And his elbows were hard. He had good knees, good elbows, but I've trained my mind so much that I have to deliver that same kind of damage back. So he was pinning me up against, but he would explode out and stuff like that. So once we got to the ground, from there, it was just repositioning, and he was just kind of holding on. It seemed like he really wanted to stalemate the fight. I wanted to keep it moving. So wherever I would get movement to angle out, I would take it. But then as soon as he grabbed me, he pinned me right back. And from there, once I got it to the ground, it was time for me to just exhaust him out because I do endless rounds of grappling, and it's just heavy, grindy rounds, grindy sessions and stuff like that. So that's what I had to do to kind of like really kind of put him away. But the environment, the lights of the arena made the mat so hot because the lights were so low. Okay. It heated up the cage area. Even my corner said he was like, I didn't expect that kind of heat to come off the lights because the lights so low. So all these little things, all these little factors were playing in that fight that people probably didn't even realize that were.
And I have to say something here about the audience, that it was a knowledgeable audience, which was great to see for MMA, because MMA is still a growing sport in India. But it was a knowledgeable, now of course by knowledgeable, I don't want to presuppose, but of course expecting them to know about different kinds of submissions and everything, but they were knowledgeable and they were respectable. And when the fight was going on, they were quiet, they were actually engaged in it, and that's also because of the quality of the fights. The fights were really good. And I remember I had some friends, I had brought some friends along who were seeing fights for the first time, and they were odd, but they were never bored. They were always stuck, and we were there for a good more than 3 hours, and they were always stuck. So I think that was a really good thing to see from Mumbai.
That was Brave's. That was a good part on Brave. Yeah, to try to match up fights, to try to make them good. Yeah, there was a lot of first rounds and stuff. I believe there was. I can't even remember, but. That was Brave for bringing in good quality and not just signing any random fighter who wanted to fight. Yeah. Not just putting up the roster and just stacking the card up just to have endless fights. They brought in the best guys that they could to put on the best show, to really display Indian MMA, to get all of India behind it, to build it all up and know that the next time we do it, it's only going to get better and bigger, and the word gets out more, and we fill up the arena more and more and more and make them bigger shows.
Yeah, and I think Brave's doing a really good job of that, of making sure that, they're, like you said, equally matched. So the fights are high quality standard fights. Yeah. Of course you can still have two really amazing guys and still one of them can get knocked out, like Connor and Aldo. Yeah. But that's a whole different
different ballpark. Yeah.
So now moving on beyond the fight, we just spoke about you possibly wanting to fight Farhad. Is there any other fighter who you have in mind?
It wasn't even me. It's not even me possibly wanting to fight Farhad. I have a feeling they're just going to mash me up like that. For me, I don't care who Brave puts in front of me now, right? For Indian fighters, I am the top guy now. I'm going to be the guy that they come after. The most marketing, the face of it, the people that really want to make their name, they're going to have to go through me now. And that's just the idea of it. Like you know, with Abdul, even like, I think he's more well known internationally now because of fighting me. He was well known in his area and locally and stuff like that. But this marketing and this hype really built him to a different place. So it really doesn't matter to me who they put in front of me. I'll always be ready for it. But I think I don't need to call these guys out. I think they're probably already messaging the president, calling me out. So I'll wait for that. Now,
what's the larger game plan as well? Because of course, speculation could be that part of wanting to be the best, Indian fighter and known as the best Indian fighter is getting a gig finally with the top organization like the UFC.
Yeah.
Because Dana White has come on record saying, a guy like Mark Hunt makes a lot of money because he has a whole country behind him.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of other guys like that who have whole countries behind them, and now that is what, of course, India needs, is having a fighter who can represent them, and I think that is what's going to click with an organization. A huge, of course, Brave. It's already clicking with Brave, but is that kind of on your horizon?
For me, I'm always open to opportunities. I'm always open to options. One thing is that the UFC has tried coming to India. They failed at it. They've tried having Ultimate Fighter. They failed at it. They were in it. The thing is,
I think there's a reason. There's a different reason they failed, which people don't know, which we'll probably get into later.
Exactly.
It's something to do with also the people who were representing MMA at that time.
Exactly.
But that's a whole different...
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So right now, Brave is the organization that was able to get in here.
Yeah.
That was a global organization that was able to get here. They gave me a platform that I've only dreamt of to fight in India, on the soil, in Mumbai, while the fight was being live streamed to the world. So this was like, I was saying this in the post-fight, was that I want to turn Mumbai into the Indian MMA kind of mecca of fighting, right? Like our Vegas. So like, we got celebrities, we got Bollywood celebrities. I want to sit front row just like they do in Vegas. They're Shah Rukh Khans that are messaging the promoter going, listen, I need tickets to the fight because St. Lion's fighting tonight. I want to turn that into that. For me, like, North America is amazing. All those markets are amazing. But the people that I want to inspire and the people that I want to motivate and the people that I want to bring to a different level are all here. And anybody that isn't here is connected to somebody outside of here. So Indians abroad, so like, abroad, so the fights are streamed worldwide anyways. So in that sense, I have no problem sticking around with the Royal Highness. I have no problem sticking around with Brave. Wherever the opportunities are, wherever the options are. Of course the UFC would be great. I would.
It's very possible that the Brave could become the next, they've already done 5 big cards, and they are on their way. They have the wherewithal to create a huge organization, which they're already doing.
And the one thing they're doing is consistent shows, amazing production, and they have quality fighters.
Yeah.
Right? They're not just bringing in debut guys. They're not just stacking up the roster or whatever they can sign. That's what makes a difference. And I was talking to them after. I was like, don't start putting a roster and start like just putting whoever. You guys have something right now. Run with the model of it. And India will eventually capture it, and like I said, the UFC, the options there. My management is like, they're always in talks and stuff like that. But we've sat down with Paradigm Management and we're like, you know what, India is my market. This is where I want to be amongst my people. These are the people I want to inspire. And right now, that's exactly what I did this weekend without the UFC. I carry the billion people on my shoulder, not them. The UFC needs me. I don't need the UFC. I can make this happen right here with Brave. I can make it happen. So for me, I'm kind of with that mindset now. Before, I was like, everybody needs the UFC to make their platform go higher. I feel like I got an advantage where I don't need that because I just need the shows to happen here. I don't care what promotion it's with.
Okay. Now coming back to, down to Indian MMA. When we were speaking, you were telling me that there are some Indian fighters who have connected with you and come a long way off to tell you about their stories about how, for lack of a better word, they've been misused by certain organizations.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of these stories?
Yeah, it was crazy because the night after the fight, I had one guy that drove up actually 4 hours to come see me yesterday. I had a few of the fighters just that reached out to me and they were like, we need to speak to you. And they sat down with me. They're like, listen, you're kind of become our voice now. And I take great pride in that. I take great responsibility in that, because one of the things that, like, you know, Abdul was marketing was that, and a lot of people believed was, I was doing it just for my marketing, just to carry the India flag, but I didn't know all the problems that were happening and stuff like that. So now, since I know and I've been enlightened by it, now I have to speak about them, and I kind of want to be that international voice for them. I've heard that certain gyms take advantage of people, certain managements around here, because fighters believe that there's only certain people that can get them the opportunities to fight globally and to bring themselves up. There's fighters that I found out were giving 60% of their purse, plus still paying their food and their living accommodation. So they're in the hole by a lot by the end of the fight, where some of these guys can't even do MMA anymore because of that reason. Where we're in a stage where we should be growing it by kind of almost funding this, sponsoring it, helping them with it, because the only way we're going to bring these guys up is by doing that. But if there's a couple people in the whole system that are greedy and kind of just taking it all for them and kind of threatening these fighters almost with the lack of opportunity, saying, listen, if you don't stick with me, if you don't go through me, nothing will happen. Or if they're able to go to bigger promotions, saying, locking them down by something contractual, things like that, we're never going to take it to another level. And I believe just a couple people's greed that I've heard about.
But you know, the problem is, some of these people don't care if it doesn't go to another level, as long as the power stays with them to control everything, you know. And of course, we've heard a lot of, you know, we have spoken about a lot of these cases. We've even, I mean, a lot of these contracts were signed, were given to people just as they were entering the cage as well. Now, of course, these things are changing. There are platforms like ours now where people can voice their opinions and speak about it. But there needs to be a bigger change, like you said. Gym management. A lot of people are taking 60% sometimes. What we've heard is promotions are taking a big cut from the people they're hiring as fighters as well. You know, which a lot of it is unethical. But the problem is, you know, MMA is still not recognized as a sport in the country, so there's no government oversight. You know, the only oversight, and a lot of times what we've seen is people, let's say, you know, a referee needs to be overseen by the association, but the referee is from the association, you know, so there's not enough, I don't know the right word, but there needs to be a little more ethics.
Exactly.
Yeah, and governance.
Like, it's been 48 hours since my fight ended, and I've already found all this out, and I'm already wanting to speak out about it, because as I was talking to some of them, they were like, oh, so it's normal to give 60%? I'm like, the most I would give is 15%. And it's not even they're shocked and laughing about it.
In the US, there is a law which says you cannot take more than, I think it's 33.3. That's the cap.
Okay.
That's the cap.
Yeah, because they were saying just the gym owners taking their 60%. Then if there's a manager involved, which is probably him too, they're taking that, then whatever the promotion, just like they're kind of like running them on future opportunities that may or may not ever come, and they're kind of locking them out. And it seems like there was a couple promotions or a promotion here that kind of locked in as many fighters as they could, got them under contract, trapped them, so they could never fight anywhere else outside of here. And while they struggled to find fights or had opportunities come to them, they had to give them up because of because of those
recently
reasons.
Also there was a story about one of the fighters on the Brave card right now, Bharat Kandare, who accused one of the AIMMAF, the All India Mixed Martial Arts Association official, that they didn't release them, that he was bound in a contract, he wasn't given any fights, and then he was not released to go to the UFC, and there was a possibility of him going there. So, you know, a lot of these... now, we can't say, of course, we have to present both sides, and you know, the official did give his side of it as well, even though there was no denial as such. But you know, the fact is that the contract situation is still, you know, a little iffy, for lack of a better word.
It's because the fighters aren't fully educated. The fighters are kind of brainwashed into believing something. I have some of these contracts because I was about to sign them too. But I was smart enough to get a lawyer. I was able to pay a lawyer. I was able to make them review it, and that's the reason my pen never hit that contract, and I never got caught up in this.
But what does a fighter, like a lot of fighters who were stuck for 3-4 years, say they were literally given it moments before entering the cage?
And same thing with me. Yeah. And I just refused to sign it, and they weren't going to cancel my fight. Yeah. I just knew, it's just like, I don't know if it's just me, because I know this happens in North America too. This happens to fighters. It's not just India that's happening. That's why I explained to them. I'm like, it's not just you guys. There's situations like this in Brazil. There's situations like that in North America. It's just a lack of education, and it's just a lack of wanting to read the fine print of something, where like they will sit you down and they'll be like, we'll get you in movies, we'll get you this, you'll become this, and you get flustered by it without reading the fine print. There's very powerful words out there in contracts, and you gotta find those powerful words. And like that's where I was even educating like 3-4 of them yesterday. I was going through their contract. I'm like, watch out for these, and just letting them, like, oh my god, like, and they were thanking me. They're like, okay, I'll make sure I look at this. So it's just like, it's an education process. And then a lot of these guys are just like, you know, like they're trying to make ends meet and stuff like that. We have that same struggle back home too. Like I'm working 16-hour days, trying to train 2-3 times a day in between there. So I'm working full time. I don't have very much of an advantage over these guys. It's just my situation is set up in a different way where but when it comes down to it, I know the business of it. I know how the promoter's probably thinking, because I understand the promotion. My degree's in business. I'm in accounting. And so I'm able to manage myself much different than a lot of fighters can manage themselves. And I'm talking about North America, even fighters at TriStar and stuff. I remember educating a lot of them, going, listen guys, like you got to watch out for this stuff. The same thing we have to do here, because it was heartbreaking to hear that some of them can't pursue their dream anymore just because they got screwed about 2-3 times by the same person, and now they just don't have money for it, and now they just don't know what to do about it. And that's
the problem. Is a lot of times the people who are supposed to be representing them are trying to screw them over, including them the promotions.
And that's exactly what they were saying. They were saying that the people that they trusted in, the people that they call brother, the people that they call their coach, the people that they really invested their time in, said, like, you know, we use certain analogies where, like, you know, you're my brother, you trust me, right? Tu mera paña, right? And so they say things like that, but in the end, they're snakes, right? Yeah. So they took advantage of it, and then when time came, they ran off with whatever little profit they had.
You know, one thing we've noticed is there is some kind of a conflict of interest in more or less every promotion here. Mm-hmm. You know, in every promotion. And the problem is everybody says, oh, there's not enough people, so we have to do these 2-3 jobs. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, if they got together or they put the referees into a pool or something and started taking referees from that pool, there wouldn't be this problem anymore. Yeah. I think one of the problems is people are not working together. They've made their own little camps, you know, these 3-4 different camps.
And that's what's stunting Indian MMA. When you got the ref also refereeing the guy he coaches, and then how is Indian MMA supposed to be taken serious worldwide when those are situations happening? When even from the referee is the same guy officiating, but he was coaching him 2 days before, and then certain situations happen in the fight that make it controversial, then that's it. We've taken 2 steps back again, right? So it's like yeah, just like, you know, if you make a pool just like in UFC, you draw what fights you're going to be reffing. So there's no kind of situation. I don't really know how it worked for Brave. There might have been, but there was only 2 referees. But I know none of those guys coach any of the fighters or anything.
Exactly. I think that is a good thing, because fighter safety is really important. Mm-hmm. You know, knowing that the guy who's refereeing you has a certain amount of experience. Yeah. Because if you want to be a world-class promotion, you have to make sure the fighters are taken care of, because they're the ones on which all the promotions are based. Yeah. You know, and another thing we've spoken about is here, of course, there were 2 refs. There have been certain instances where one ref in certain promotions has refereed the whole card. Mm-hmm. And I think that's dangerous in terms of both for him, because on the one hand, people are saying, oh, it's such a tough job. But if it is a tough job, then make your job easier by having at least 2-3 people. Yeah. In some instances, when we have brought forward that criticism, it has worked. Where then they have brought on 2-3 referees. Of course, the conflict of interest still stands where the same person has coached or been in the association. But I think one needs to keep moving forward step by step.
It's dangerous for a ref to ref a whole card, because he's going to mentally check out eventually. He's got to be aware for certain situations. And that's why, like, you know, so like situations like
well, unfortunately, both the big incidences in refereeing recently on a certain card that we saw 2 days in a row, the referee was refereeing both those nights just by himself.
Exactly. And then I had two very situations that went viral around the world. Two bad situations that, people are like, oh, where'd this take place? In India. This is like, and then you got like, websites like bjpen.com that are just kind of making fun of the whole situation. And we've sent her back, and we've sent the whole scene back. Right? And it's situations like this that we need to avoid.
Well, I'm sure, I'm pretty, I have a lot of hope and optimism that the situation is going to change, because, we and other people are putting the spotlight on it, so that people know that the government may not be watching, but we are. So having
and that's the thing. Like for me, since I know this now, I'll be voicing it more, because at the end of the day, I have really nothing to lose in this. My management is North America. My promotion is in Bahrain. So for me, this is why they came to me. They're like, I'm not stuck under these contracts. I would never sign these papers. I would have read them through. I would have already known. And I have this contract still sitting at my house that reminds me of how bad it can be. I've shown this contract to Supreme Court lawyer. They're like, wow, even if you quit fighting, you owed them something. Even if you quit, even if the promotion went down, you were still underneath them. I'm like, and I bet you I remember fighting here and fighters going down and not even looking and signing it, and not even thinking twice about it. And then I went there and they were shocked when I'm like, I'm not signing this until I read it through, and they're like, what? And that right there threw them off. So I know there's a lot of fighters that are just told a lot of situations. They're like, listen, you can have this opportunity, you'll become this star, you have this opportunity, sign it, and now they're stuck. And now they have no idea what they're stuck under. And then situations like, you were saying he had an opportunity to go to the UFC, look what passed him by, a once-in-a-lifetime situation. And now who knows if he'll come ever again. It's sad, right? It's heartbreaking. So,
well, to end the show almost, what else are you planning in India now? Any sightseeing?
Yeah, I'm actually starting my wedding shopping. I'm getting married.
Awesome. When are you getting married?
I'm getting married in Canada.
Which month?
The wedding in July. I get married in Montreal, and my reception's in Vancouver. So we're starting the wedding shopping. My fiance's been amazing during this training camp. It's been crazy. It's like I said, I work 16-hour days, and she took my job and she did it for me. And she handled it for the next 2 months just so I can focus, just so I wouldn't have anything on my mind or anything like that. And my guest list hasn't even been, my weddings are literally, I think, 9 weeks. I haven't even started, because when I train for a fight, I'm completely obsessed with the process. We had not planned anything that's taken place now, because April 23rd was my judgment day. That was it. That was the only day we focused on, making history that day. The next morning we can start planning the week that we're here. And she's like that, I'm like that. I was even kind of going, I'm like, hey, okay, maybe you should start planning. She's like, be quiet, focus on your fight. You need to win this, you need to make the history. Then we'll plan things. So now it's all on her. Now we kind of like, it's all about her for the next little while, and all about us. It's a next step in my life, right? So after that, I'll go back into training at the end of summer. But I have to enjoy this part of my life now, right? I got to enjoy this process. It's like I'm a billion pounds lifted off my shoulders, and nice and just relaxed. My body's just in complete exhaustion, mentally and physically, recovering from injury. Sitting by the pool, not thinking about fighting or anything like that. Going clothing shopping, which is a whole different training camp for me. So, so it's been amazing. She's handled the whole situation, and now I owe it to her. Right, we're here in India. We got dinners with a couple actors and stuff like that, so we get to meet up with some people. I get to see the city and stuff, and just enjoy it now. Just enjoy this process. It was a very hard mental, emotional camp. Even the fight week was one of the most mentally anticipated. People don't know what was going on in the hotels. People don't know what was happening when me and Abdul would run by each other. People don't know what led to that weigh-in situation. They think it was drama. If they think it was just marketed, it's because they didn't know what was happening when the cameras weren't around. They didn't know when we would cross each other by the rooms. We get stuck in elevators. We'd see each other when he was cutting weight. I would do mental techniques on him. When he was cutting weight that night, I didn't have to cut nothing. I cut not a single pound. I went and sat in the sauna next to him with the water bottle and sat with him. And just while he was draining himself out, I'm like, I don't gotta do nothing. So these are the things that, like, I wasn't any less than he was. And that's why it became what it was. It was mental warfare of mixed martial arts that led it to be the fight that it was, and led it to be the event that was. But now my personal life has to step in, and my personal life is, getting married and hopefully living the best day of my life, and that's it. And that's
awesome. Well, we, congrats again on the fight, and we wish you both all the very best for your new life.
You got to come, man. You got to make a trip.
We'll try.
Yeah, you got to make a trip out there. Definitely.
Thanks so much for being on the show. Thank you.
Hello, and we are with Mohammed Farhad, who has just won his bout against Irfan Khan, Mumbai's Irfan Khan at Brave 5. तो फरहाद भाई, congrats.
Thank you.
आप अपने फाइट पहले ही राउंड में नॉकआउट से आपने जीता, लेकिन आप किसी और से फाइट करने वाले थे. क्या नाम था उनका? जलालुद्दीन
अजीज जुलैदन,
जो सऊदी अरेबिया के हैं. एंड he's a very good fighter. He's fought टाइटल के लिए भी उन्होंने डेजर्ट फोर्स में फाइट किया.
Exactly.
सो इट्स अनफॉर्चुनेट कि ही वाज नॉट एबल टू फाइट. लेकिन अच्छी बात ये है कि आपने फिर भी फाइट किया और पहले ही राउंड में आपने नॉकआउट करके बेसिकली आपने अपना स्टैंडर्ड जो आपका फाइटिंग का है दोबारा ऑडियंस को दिखाया है आपने कि आप किस लेवल के फाइटर हो. और जो अभी अगला फाइट है वो एक बहुत ही टॉप रैंक फाइटर के अगेंस्ट आपका होना चाहिए.
See, I'm always ready to test myself. पहली बात तो ये है, आई एम रेडी फॉर एनी चैलेंज. अगर मतलब ऐसा लगता है कि टॉप फाइटर्स के साथ में मैं रखना चाहिए, सो आई विल रेस्पेक्ट हिम एंड विल ट्रेन फॉर इट. अगर मैंने 2 महीना ट्रेनिंग किया तो 4 महीना करूँगा मैं, बट आई विल बी रेडी फॉर द चैलेंज.
तो सबसे पहले ये कहना चाहेंगे, ऑफ कोर्स अब्दुल भाई भी उन्होंने फाइट किया था एंड ही लॉस्ट अगेंस्ट गुरदर्शन गैरी मंगत. तो अभी हम इससे पहले गुरदर्शन मंगत से बात हुई थी हमारी. सो अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर सेइंग एंड ही इज आल्सो रेडी दैट यू शुड बी मैच्ड अप विद हिम नाउ नेक्स्ट. मैं इसके बारे में मजाक भी कर रहा था कि ऑलमोस्ट एक मनमोहन देसाई फिल्म के जैसे हो जाएगा कि एक वो बदला वाला एंगल भी इसमें आ जाएगा कि आप अपने भाई के लिए बदला ले सकते हैं अभी इसमें.
और वो किक बॉक्सर भी एक मूवी थी इसके ऊपर.
हाँ, किक बॉक्सर भी एक मूवी थी. तो इसमें वही हो गया कि एक वो सनी देओल और बॉबी देओल वाली भी मूवी थी अपने, मेरे ख्याल से, जिसमें वो सनी पाजी वो बॉबी के लिए बदला लेते हैं. तो अभी वही माहौल बन गया है और वही वो बन गया कि आप अभी बदला लेने के लिए तैयार है या नहीं है.
आई एम रेडी. एज आई सेड, मतलब आई एम रेडी फॉर एनी चैलेंज. अच्छा मैचअप रहेगा वैसे भी वो, और मुझे भी मौका मिलेगा कि मैं अपने आप को टेस्ट करूँ, उसको भी टेस्ट करूँ केज के अंदर.
क्योंकि अच्छी बात ये है कि ये अनऑफिशियल बेस्ट इंडियन एमएमए फाइटर का टाइटल बन गया है मोर और लेस. और ये अच्छी बात है ऑफ कोर्स, क्योंकि लोगों का इंटरेस्ट, ऑडियंस का इंटरेस्ट इसमें काफ़ी बढ़ता है फिर इस वजह से. एंड हम जैसे हमने देखा कि ये अब्दुल भाई और गैरी की काफ़ी राइवलरी बनी थी और फाइट भी काफ़ी अच्छा हुआ. इट वाज अ वेरी गुड फाइट. एंड I think Gary won the fight. It was quite a fair decision. And now the next thing is it can be a very big, I think, fight now between you and him.
Correct. We can do that. I'm ready for that. But as I said, that I respect his skills. Of course, he trained in the world's best gym, TriStar. Good. He's having a good confidence level. His cornerman was a UFC fighter. He's a very good friend of mine now. His name is Jeremy.
Okay.
Jeremy again.
Achha.
Jeremy Kennedy. Yeah. So he did 2 fights in UFC, still undefeated. Good. So that develops a confidence in a fighter. और मेरे ख्याल से मुनीर भी इस फाइट के लिए इंजर्ड था. उसका लिगामेंट इशू था लेफ्ट लेग का.
Okay.
He cannot bend his leg properly. और प्लस उसका फिंगर भी काफ़ी इंजर्ड था उसका. बोन में इंजरी थी फिंगर के. और मुनीर को मैंने मतलब कहा भी था उसको कि यू प्ले योर गेम. स्टिल ही वेंट रेसलिंग विथ हिम. और मेरे ख्याल से उनका यही प्लान था. आई थिंक कि उस गुरदर्शन का भी यही प्लान था कि फर्स्ट राउंड उसके लिए हार्ड रहेगा, बाकी सेकेंड और थर्ड शायद वो ले लेगा. उसका ये प्लान था मेरे ख्याल से. बिकॉज इन द इंटरव्यू आई हैव सीन हिज इंटरव्यू, ही सेड कि मुनीर का बस गैस का ही है. आई नो माई गैस टैंक इज फुल, ऐसा वैसा उसने मतलब कोई जो इंटरव्यू में बोला था. तो मुझे भी काफ़ी वो लग रहा. तो मैंने मुनीर को बोला भी, तो अपना गेम खेलना जैसा भी तेरा गेम है, हाउ यू प्ले एवरी टाइम, डजंट मैटर. ठीक है, फिर भी उसने मतलब इंजरीज होने के बाद भी आई एम प्राउड ऑफ हिम के काफ़ी सारे लोग उसके लिए फ़ाइट देखने के लिए आ रहे थे, बहरीन से भी, बेंगलोर से भी, तो उसने फ़ाइट से पुल आउट नहीं किया। उसने बिना किसी को कुछ बताया कि मेरे को इंजरी है फिर मैं फ़ाइट कर रहा है, ऐसा उसने अच्छी और जिगर वाली फ़ाइट किया। नाइस।
आई थॉट उन्होंने बहुत, जैसे आप कह रहे हो, जिगर बहुत दिखाया फाइट के अंदर, और कभी भी हार मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं हुए वो। किसी भी जब ग्राउंड में थे, किसी भी मोमेंट पे वो उनकी आंखों में नजर आ रहा था कि मैं हार नहीं मानूंगा।
और गुरदर्शन बोलता है कि उसको बोल भी रहा था हिट में
हाँ, वो सब बातें भी चल रही थी, वो बता भी रहे थे।
अच्छा
तो वो कि
हिट में
तो अच्छा है ये सब चीज़ें इंडियन स्पोर्ट के लिए। अपने फाइट के बारे में कुछ बताइए। ऑफ कोर्स बहुत जल्द ख़त्म हो गया, आपने एक कॉम्बिनेशन पहले जो 1-2 पहले कॉम्बिनेशन था वो मिस हुआ था, और फिर थर्ड जो थोड़ा सा वाइड शॉट था वो ओवरहेड वो थोड़ा सा लगा था, और लेकिन उससे वो लैंड हुआ था अच्छी तरह से,
परफेक्ट लैंड हुआ था, अप्लाई हुआ था वो। और उसके बाद में जब उसे वो लैंड हुआ तो मैं जब भी फाइट पे मौजूद था तो वो मैं फीलिंग अपनी बता रहा हूँ एक्चुअली मैं आपको। व्हेन आई लैंडेड द पंच तो एक पल के लिए मेरे को सिर्फ नॉक हुआ, नहीं मारता हुआ, और एक मैंने ब्रेक लिया, और एक ब्रेक वो उसमें ये भी था कि आई नो हिम सिंस लॉन्ग टाइम, तो एंड दैट वाज अ रियल फाइट एंड आई एम ट्राइंग टू हर्ट हिम एट दैट टाइम। तो एक मेरे में ब्रेक आया, फिर एक आया, नहीं इट्स अ रियल फाइट, देन उसने मेरे को पुश किया एंड देन आई स्टार्टेड कंटिन्यूइंग द ग्राउंड एंड पाउंड। या तो रेफरी ने उठाया,
ऑफ कोर्स,
एंड देन इरफान खान वाज लाइक he got up, he was wobbling, and he was like I'm okay, मतलब why did you stop the fight?
नहीं वो आउट ही थे,
okay,
तो that was a correct stoppage you can say,
because I thought that he is knocked out, मारने की जरूरत नहीं है, but referee did not jump in,
okay,
then I have to
start. अभी एक चीज़ बताइए, आप कुछ अनाउंसमेंट भी करने वाले थे ना? कुछ
अनाउंसमेंट करने वाला था मैं कुछ, लेकिन अभी उसके लिए थोड़ा सा टाइम है।
अच्छा, अभी टाइम है,
शायद वो एक्चुअली वो अनाउंस हो ही जाएगा ऑटोमेटिकली ऐसा।
ओके।
प्रिंस शेख खालिद का भी थोड़ा उसमें ख्वाहिश है,
ओके,
कुछ तो,
ओके,
तो आफ्टर पार्टी है मेरी, उनसे बात भी हुई थी,
ओके,
काफ़ी टाइम तक। तो मेरे ख्याल से वो KHK वाले अनाउंस करेंगे, या तो फिर ब्रेव वाले, आई गेस ब्रेव वाले, एक्चुअली नॉट KHK, ब्रेव वाले अनाउंस करेंगे वो। लेट्स सी।
तो आपको कैसे लगा ये, आप पहली बार या दूसरी बार अपने खुद के होम ऑडियंस के सामने फाइट कर रहे थे?
ये मैंने काफ़ी बार कर चुका हूँ, मैंने होम ऑडियंस के बाद सामने फाइट, बिकॉज जब मैं अमेचर्स में था जब ये मैं करता था,
बट दिस वाज अ वेरी बिग स्केल,
दिस वाज अ बिग प्लेटफॉर्म एंड बिग
प्लेटफॉर्म। तो हाउ डिड यू फील फाइटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ योर होम ऑडियंस?
फर्स्ट टाइम जब मैंने इंडिया पाकिस्तान की फ़ाइट किया था ना, तभी मेरे ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशर था, यू नो, ऑल कैमराज ऑन मी, ऑल लाइट्स ऑन मी, और वो टाइम पे मुझे सऊदी से लोग देख रहे, इट वॉज फर्स्ट टाइम इन माई लाइफ। बट इस बार जब मैं किया तो दैट्स व्हाट वी से, दैट एक्सपीरियंस मैटर्स। तो उस चीज़ का मेरे को एक बार एक्सपीरियंस हो गया, तो इस बार मेरे को उतना प्रेशर नहीं था, आई वॉज वेरी कूल दिस टाइम। फिर वो जो मेरा पाकिस्तान का अपोनेंट था हैदर ज़ाई, इरफान खान को मैंने ओवरहैंड मैंने उसको एक्चुअली कॉट किया, और हैदर ज़ाई को मैंने एकदम पूरा बोलते ना पिछवाड़ी में ताकत लगा के उसको मैंने पंच किया था, फिर भी वो खड़ा था बंदा, तो उसके लिए मेरा रेस्पेक्ट है बहुत ज़्यादा। वो टाइगर किड था, वो पाकिस्तान का, ही वाज अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग फाइटर, वुशु में वो चैंपियन है पाकिस्तान का। तो उसको 2-3 पंच खाने के बाद फिर वो नीचे गिरा, ही वाज अ वेरी आयरन जॉ, बहुत अच्छा जॉ है उसका। एनीवे, मेरे लिए कल का जो फाइट नाइट था, जो मेरे लिए, वो मेरे लिए इसलिए बड़ा दिन है क्योंकि मैंने इतनी सारी टेक्निकल नॉकआउट विक्ट्रीज हासिल किया, और जब भी मुझे नॉकआउट ऑफ द नाइट का मुझे उन्होंने अनाउंस किया था प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में,
तो उसमें कुछ कैश प्राइज भी था?
उसमें कैश प्राइज होगा, बिकॉज ब्रेव ज़रूर होगा, बिकॉज ब्रेव 1 में जब भी सबमिशन ऑफ द नाइट एंड नॉकआउट ऑफ द नाइट अनाउंस हुआ था, तो उसमें पैसा था।
सो अभी आप आपके साथ जो फाइट करते हैं, अब्दुल का फाइट था, चैतन्य का भी फाइट हुआ था, काफ़ी क्लोज फाइट हुआ था। इट वाज यू नो, ही लॉस्ट बाय स्प्लिट डिसीजन, बट इट वाज अ वेरी क्लोज फाइट, इट वाज अ वेरी अगेन अ वेरी टेक्निकल फाइट। उसके बारे में आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
सही बात है, चैतन्य इज़ अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग ग्रैपलर, और अब्दुल मुनीर और चैतन्य एक ऐसे फाइटर है कि जिनके साथ में मैंने ट्रेनिंग कर के मेरा इम्प्रूवमेंट काफ़ी ज़्यादा हुआ है। मुनीर के साथ में ट्रेनिंग किया और मेरा बॉक्सिंग में काफ़ी ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है, और चैतन्य के साथ में मैंने ट्रेनिंग किया हो तो एक रेसलर के सामने एक MMA फाइटर को कैसे रहना चाहिए, कैसे फाइट करना चाहिए, उस चीज़ का मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस मिला है, बहुत ज़्यादा. तो मेरे ख्याल से फ्यूचर में अगर मुझे कोई स्ट्रॉन्ग रेसलर भी मिलता है अगर, तो आई गेस आई विल बी देयर, आई विल बी रेडी टू टैकल हिम एनी हाउ, बिकॉज चैतन्य का इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग ग्राउंड है और उसने फर्स्ट राउंड में बताया कि दैट एंड द बीस्ट. वो उस चीज़ को टेक डाउन लिया. वो जेरेमी काफ़ी मतलब निकल गया था, फिर वहाँ से भी उसने उसको उठा के बोला इधर आ, कहाँ जा रहा है. He was dominating him in first round. फिर second round में I think maybe he was gassed out or don't know. मेरी उससे अब तक बात नहीं हुई है फिर उस बारे में.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're going to continue training here at Team Evolution.
I'll be going to Bangalore right now.
Bangalore, okay.
I'll train there. और जैसे कि अभी इस विक्ट्री के बाद में I think मेरा मैचअप अच्छे फाइटर्स के साथ में ही होगा. I was ready for Aziz any time.
Of course.
I was ready for him.
Of course, you were ready for him. See,
yeah.
Whatever injury or whatever he backed out, उसमें आपका हाथ, you could not do anything.
Yeah.
You have to fight. At least you were able to fight and show your skills again.
Correct.
So we really wish that you get a very good competitor again. अगर गैरी के साथ मैचअप होता है, then great. It will be a lot of it'll be a good rivalry. Again, like I said,
if लोगों को भी अगर सपोर्टर्स जो मेरे हैं और उसके और जिन्होंने मतलब ब्रेव को फॉलो किया है, ब्रेव 5 गो फॉर द ग्लोरी, अगर वो भी चाहते हैं कि ये फाइट हो, तो आई एम रेडी फॉर द फाइट. मैं तो किसी भी मतलब अपोनेंट से फाइट के लिए रेडी हूँ. और हाँ, ऐसा भी है कि मतलब अगर फाइट हो तो मुझे इन्फॉर्मेशन पहले मिले, सो दैट आई गेट रेडी फॉर द.
ऑफ कोर्स लास्ट मिनट नहीं बताना चाहिए आपको.
हाँ, ऐसा
कि 2 दिन पहले जी गैरी के साथ फाइट है.
सो आई विल डू दैट प्रिपरेशन एंड आई विल शो माय सेल्फ दैट.
ग्रेट. सो वी विश यू ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट. आपके साथ बात करके हमको हमेशा बहुत अच्छा लगता है, एंड वी आर वेरी हैप्पी दैट वी वर एबल टू सी योर फाइट लाइव दिस टाइम. And a lot of people from Mumbai were able to see it, and India was able to see it through Neo Sports.
Maybe Brave और भी होगा शायद next Bangalore में हो, दिल्ली में या कहीं पे भी होगा.
बिल्कुल.
Nice.
So that's very good. It's a very good promotion. So we wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, and we are with Paulo, Goncalves, Silva also, but he's stopped using Silva because people connected to Anderson Silva too much. He just fought at Brave 5, a very, very hard fought fight against Alejandro
Pato Martinez. Yes.
Martinez from Mexico. And
exactly.
Right, from Mexico. Yes. And we saw it was a very, very high level technical fight, which was going back and forth. It was a very hard fought fight. And what we did see was that you were defending yourself, and you did give a thumbs up to the referee as well, and you were recollecting, you were defending himself, but he decided to stop the fight.
He decided to stop the fight here, as everybody saw it. I already had some tough fights, I have a lot of fights that I start losing, and then I finish winning the fight, but the time the referee don't give me the chance for give out
to recover.
I don't wise like he don't know what was happening. I hurt my knee on the last camp for the last fight. For Brave, I supposed to fight in Brave 3 in Brazil, but I hurt my knee. In Brazil.
Yes.
But the show had paid everything for me. I feel guilty. I want to give back, because the show was really nice with me, with all the fighters, and it's all the MMA show do this. So I was trying to give back. I was trying to fight quickly, win, and then fight for the title. Fight with the guy that's supposed to fight with him in Brazil. And then I make it more physiotherapy, then the proper training for the fight, like sparring, everything. And I think I miss it. I miss this training, for it's once enough for the fight. So I feel tired. Pato started to get tired on the 15th round. I felt it.
Yeah.
But he recovered better than me. So when we back, he give me a kick. He touch on my
groin. Yes.
On my balls.
Yeah.
And I look to the referee. The referee
didn't see it.
He don't need care. He don't even care. So I get mad. Was my mistake. And then I was like, I'm crazy now.
Yes.
When I try throw a knee, I lost my balance and then I take it down and then he come for side control. And then happening all those things. When he was throwing some punch, the referee told me, fight back. I make it way for stand up, but I was feeling tired. And they say, okay, his punch is not too bad. I'm gonna let he throw some punch because he gonna get tired because he already was getting tired. And then after I can start to fight. And they made like 2 or 3 times for the referee. Everybody can see it. In the video, everybody can see it. In Brazil, everybody saw it. Even my mother-in-law, she get really mad, really mad with it.
Okay.
But the referee stopped the fight. Sorry for leave the. I asked sorry for the show for everybody for leave the cage because I was really mad. I really wanna
keep going and
keep
fight.
Going and show my heart because my fights always was like that. No, I think the best I have is my heart. I can fight until die, but I don't need to die in this fight because the punch was not too hard. I get them cut over here, but it was not some punch or not. It was the head. We was head to head. When he moved, he had to touch my head, and then it could. But you see my face not happening in the fight. I was okay, but mistake happens, and I prefer don't think the referee made it for bad. I prefer to think it was a mistake. I don't know how long he's worked with MMA, if he know with who he's working. Because I was thinking with myself, to think if some guy like that gonna be the referee. I don't wanna compare myself with Muhammad Ali, but to think Muhammad Ali and George Foreman fight, and
of
this
course,
guy
he kept taking punishment. He
gonna kill the story, He gonna kill the story. Muhammad Ali gonna lose in the 1st round, the 2nd round, and we don't wanna know about his heart, Like you think Royce Gracie on the 50 UFC, this guys already had killed the UFC and all the MMA. We don't always fight talking here about the MMA, about this, because this guy don't know what he's doing. He don't know what's the fight, He don't know who are fighting, who has a big soul, a big heart, and if the guy is okay or not. And you think this guy being the referee and in the fight between Minotaur and Bob Sapp, this guy had killed the story, I take myself think about it a lot of time. I had in one fighting. I made one fight in 2009 in Brazil, and the 1st round the guy threw me a fly knee, and I was down. He threw me a lot of punches. He watched my back. He put the head naked choke like twice time. I defended this, and then after I submitted him and won the fight. Again for the belt in Coliseu Extreme Fight Brazil, I fight with Jorge Pereira. He's a really tough guy. I think he's the most tough guy I fought. And he put me on katagatame, guillotine twice time, leg lock, But the referee was really pro. He saw what was happening, He let the fight go. He let the show happen for the crown. And then after this, I submitted him and he sleep, And okay, the referee don't even saw when he sleep. I feel his body and say, oh, he's sleeping. The referee know the fight. He know who was fighting. He know if I play like that or not. And he stopped the fight, and they win the fight. I win the belt. I think the referee gotta know who had the fight. He gotta know the style of the fight. because I can't change my style because he say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. No, my style is like that. No, I have my heart, I have my soul. That's the best of me, and I can't make the game like he prefer. Like he say, oh, now I want to do this. I can't.
Yeah.
No, I know how to throw fly knee, Superman punch, a lot of nice skill. But my best is my soul, is my heart. No, be strong, keep going, never give up. No, this is my best. And who like to watch me fight, and who enjoy me because this.
With the audience, yeah.
And but what can I do now?
You know, referee stoppages, of course, have always been a very controversial thing. Was it early? Was it late? There is always, a problem in MMA.
Yeah.
And here, of course, we saw that it was a problem. Now, tell us a little about your background. How did you get into MMA? Of course, Brazil is a powerhouse of MMA. Some of the biggest MMA legends are from Brazil. So were you inspired by people around you? Did you see some other MMA fighter and then you got inspired? How did you get into MMA?
You know, in Brazil, we look like a lot of Brazil between inside of one Brazil. That people see one Brazil, but
yes,
we are
but there's
like
many.
Yeah, we are like a lot of kind of different Brazil. And my family from Paraíba, they now, but long time ago, they enjoy to put their kids for to fight kids, for candies, for fun. Yeah. Now it's not allowed anymore.
Okay.
And my daddy, my uncles, they make this, put me for fight with my younger uncle.
Okay.
And like it's become like something like normal to me.
Okay.
It's no fighting technique, but like you are always inspiring.
Just sparring and fighting.
Yeah. And then after I back to Rio, I born in Rio, and then I moved to Paraíba with 1 year, stay until my 9 years, and then I back to Rio, and then I back here to speak like from Paraíba, like a redneck. And
okay.
They was joking with me because this, so I had to fight a lot of time because and before in Chacrinha, the favela where I live. I still have family over there, but I grew up over there, and there the oldest guy, they try always beat the kids for take the field for soccer for play soccer, and we had some purple belt from Grace Barra. He was a new guy over there, and he saw it and he did enjoy it. So he started to teach jiu-jitsu for us for self-defense. And then after this I really enjoy it because this guy, he always brings some videos from Royce Gracie, on beginning from UFC beginning, and I enjoy it. Like saw Royce Gracie little, I saw how the American guys was joking off the Brazilian guy because he was little, fight big wrestling, big boxer, and he win the guys. He submit the guys, hurting the guys. He submit the guys. He had big heart, and they fall in love with it. And after a time, I get like annoying for be doing jiu-jitsu, no punch, no kick, okay. And then I get a chance for make vale tudo.
Yeah, of course.
And yes. Then they supposed to record 2 fighters from my old team.
Yeah.
It's called Tata Fight Team, TFT.
Okay.
And they say, oh, now it's my chance.
Yeah.
And then I work hard with both guys, and then they choose me. They supposed to be there for choice these both guys, and they choose me. For the first show, they put me on standby on heavyweight on heavyweight. On heavyweight
division.
Yeah, on heavyweight division. Was like 3 fights in the night, and but thanks Lord, nobody hurt themselves because they was really big. Was not safe for me.
Yeah.
But I was there. I wanted. I was young, big heart. I tried. And the second time they put me in the Grand Prix. I win the first fight, and then I lost the second fight. I said, wow, I wanna try again. And then the next time I lost the first one, I get really mad.
Yeah.
And then the second time I win the first one, the second one, and the last fight we make it like with Zé Pequeno. This guy was a really tough guy from God of City, Cidade de Deus, and we make 45 minutes fighting on the finals with no time limits, no rules, and he win. You know, I get tired and he win. He had big heart, and I fall in love with it. So I keep doing this until now. I just feel bad because don't have more valitude. You know, it's not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's MMA. They changed the name for MMA, and something like that happened. If it was valitudo, no, go there, go all the way.
So where are you training now? Are you still training in your hometown, or are you training somewhere else?
No, I like to give me the opportunity for to have different experience, different experience to learn, to keep learning. And I live in São Paulo because my wife, I went there for 2 days from weekend and I met her over there.
Okay.
And then, not against São Paulo, but it's not my preferred city. It's really big city.
Yeah, of course.
I prefer Rio.
Yeah.
Rio is my hometown.
Yeah.
And then I was back there for training Gym because that is a really hard training.
Yeah.
And I train in São Paulo. I have good guys in São Paulo support me on Jiu-Jitsu. I have one guy, Israel, help me on Karate.
Yeah.
But the most training for fight is in Rio, in Gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now I wanna have an experience in Thailand.
Yeah. In one of the Muay Thai camps.
The Muay Thai camps, yeah.
I think there's a Tiger Muay Thai and there's a couple of others.
Yeah, there's many ones. Yeah, but I enjoy Tiger.
Okay. So you're planning on going there now?
I'm planning. When I go to Brazil, we're back here and Thailand.
But it makes sense to not go back to Brazil right now because Thailand is very close to India.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go from here.
Yeah, I try.
Maybe.
Yeah, I try it, but no, I have some compromise with my wife friends.
Of course.
She gonna get married, so like
okay.
I go with her and then I'm gonna back.
So now tell us, this is your second time in India.
Yes.
Right. So you've been here once before.
Yes.
You were training.
Yes, I was training.
So tell us about your experience. How do you like? Because I feel in some way India and Brazil are very similar.
Yeah.
Because the people look, similar. Like if you didn't have the tattoo, you could pass off as an Indian as well.
Yeah.
I think the tattoos make you, not that even Indian people have tattoos, but it makes you stand out a bit more. But otherwise, very similar things. There's a lot of noise. It's even Brazil is a very loud, noisy, busy place all the time, and same like us. So you feel at home? You feel at home?
I feel even the weather here.
Yeah, it's similar
in Mumbai.
Yeah.
It's similar Rio.
Okay.
Similar Rio, and full like São Paulo.
Yeah.
It's full like São Paulo. So it's the food. We have a lot of stuff from India, because the Portuguese guy long time ago they bring it to Brazil, so we have a lot of kind of food from India too. So like the spice, we don't use too much spice like India people enjoy. Like in Bahia, yes, in Bahia they love it,
Yeah.
But in Brazil we have it too, in different states like Rio, São Paulo, everywhere, but not too much like here. Here we have in everything. One day, in my first time here, I buy one soda.
Okay.
And even the soda had spice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I never saw it before.
So you were here to train. Are you still looking forward to training in India and being here for some time and training up and coming Indian MMA fighters?
Yeah, he has a lot of karate guys good. My friend Mayu Benson. He's really good in karate.
Yeah.
I always learn something with him. And I always change some experience from jiu-jitsu. Like Hoyt, he's a guy, he tried, he worked hard, he go to Thailand for training Muay Thai. Always when he come here, he wanna learn more about jiu-jitsu. I enjoy it because I see myself from this guy, because before I trained like going from one city for another city, run with my gi on my body for training because I didn't have the money for pay the ticket. Yeah. And then after training, like after really hard work, I have to back home running again. Yes. So like if I can do something, if I can learn and give something back, I really enjoy it. Nice. And he has good wrestling too. Yeah. The traditional wrestling, I really enjoy it. I wanna try more time.
But like the kushti.
Kushti. Yeah, I wanna try more time.
So now tell us, how many fights do you have on your contract with Brave?
I have two fights.
2 more fights.
Yeah.
So how are you enjoying Brave? It's a new promotion, but they're trying to go global, and it was a very big promotion for India. It was a very good big production. So how are you? I mean, of course, this what we are talking about had to do with the referee. It was the referee's decision. But how are you enjoying being in Brave?
I fall in love for Brave since I hurt my knee. Because the organization was really nice with me. I never saw it before, because many shows they don't care if you are okay or not. They try to put you there like you were a piece of meat. Like go there, if it don't work, they take you, throw you out and put the other one. Wanna have many guys wanna be on your way, and they was really nice. Lucas bring me for clinic for check my knee. He say, relax, you don't have to worry too much, you don't have to rush yourself for fight. If you are not okay, don't worry too much. They was really nice with me. So like after this, and I watched the show. Yeah. When I saw the show, wow, mistake gonna happen everywhere. Yeah. In Bellator.
Yeah, of course, it could happen everywhere. That's what I was saying. That early, late stoppages, these happen in any promotion. Because it's to do with the referee, and the referee, I guess, is trying to protect the fighters, but they have to remember that, like you said, different fighters have different styles. Yeah. So they have to know that as well. So, but it could happen anywhere.
Yeah, but it's a good chance for healing. Yeah. And for a lot of you, the referee, they try to study too, because the fighters. We go to the internet, now we have information, free information in YouTube, anywhere. You go there and you study the guy, like, this guy, how this guy's work, how his guy can hold punch, like his guy cannot too much. He showed to study it, he could do, he has everything now. So I think it's a good opportunity for learning, for everybody learning, And I hope next don't happen again. For sure gonna happen.
Of course.
But I hope it's not with me again.
So do you have a next fight in mind? Who you want to fight now?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I really wanna fight with a Brazilian guy. Yeah. Because he run away like twice different shows. But after this, I would love to fight with Pato again.
Okay.
I would fight the Mexican guy again. Okay. Because
you want a rematch basically.
I wanna finish the fight.
Yeah.
If he win me, okay, congratulations, good job. Yeah. It's not like a personal, He's a good guy. Yeah. We talking before, after. He's a good guy. Yeah. But it's the game. It's our job.
It's unfinished business. You feel?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like if he punched me, he cut my face, he knocked out me, submission, okay, I'm gonna feel happy. No, not like I finish here. But
you'll accept it then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not like that. No, I don't like to lose for the referee. I don't mean the referee made it for bad, but I lost for the referee. I don't lost for Pato. Like, okay, he's a tough guy. Okay. Like his dog don't say nothing about him. I already know he has many more fights than this, but I lost this fight for the referee.
Yeah. So we wish you all the very best. From the MMA India Show, we want to see this fight again, and like you said, we want to see it maybe in India again. They might be having events in Bangalore or Delhi very soon. So we would love to have you back in India, and come back to India and fight again. But thanks so much for coming on the show. Anything else you want to say before we end?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I wanna say thank you so much to everybody. Because I know a lot of people coming from different cities, different states, for what they fight. And I feel guilty because I don't give back, what they deserve, and after what happened, they keep supporting me. They keep me sending a lot of good messages, a lot of good vibes. The kids after the show, I come there for the show because I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer not make main event. I prefer to make the fights between the show.
Yeah.
Because I came back and enjoy the show. And the kids who are there, calling for my name, taking pictures for me, be nice. And when it's coming from the kids, like, it's really true. It's really, how I gonna say?
Honest.
Honest. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honest. It was the first time I lost some fight like that.
Yeah.
And so quickly I get happy. Like he foresee it.
Yeah.
Of course, if I win the fight, I'm gonna get happy, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it from the people. Maybe I'm gonna see, okay, I win, everybody okay. But after I lost, everybody keep the same way. Everybody keep coming, taking pictures, for me, the India keep amazing. It was amazing before, and it keep amazing. After all what happened, I don't get so mad. It's really weird for me. I don't get so mad. I still feel in love. It's something really crazy. Yeah. I was talking with my wife after, like, say, look, I don't know what's going on because I'm not feeling mad. I think I can get old because I'm not feeling mad. I feel happy. So I wanna say thank you so much. And I believe I don't work too much like I should do for this fight because I was scared about my knee. I don't wanna get out the show, but now I'm gonna take care. I have time for this, and I lost the scare after the fight because I even kicked with my knees that was not good, and not happened. It's okay. So I came back to make sparring, into training hard, and I really wanna say thank you so much, and I promise. I promise, in my state, who is from Paraíba, we can't have money or whatever, but we have a word. When you say something, we keep that word. It's really has value. I'm gonna work really hard. And I wanna ask you help me, go to the Brave profiles anywhere and ask for my rematch with Pato. Please help me. You guys put me on the show here in India on this fight, and I would like to ask again. Please ask for a fight. You guys can put me for to fight with Pato again. I can't promise you what's gonna happen, but I can promise you what I can do. I gonna give you all of me, and I wanna go until the end. I don't wanna finish like that. For me and for him, I wanna see who really gonna win. Please help me, and thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us, Paulo. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Precious mind.
That was Paulo, and it was a pleasure having him, and we hope to see him again on the show and at Brave Fighting. Thank you. And welcome back, and we are with Aditya PS, who is the, should I still say, president of Brave Combat or KHK in India?
No. So at this moment of time, I represent
All India Mixed Martial Arts
MMA Federation as the president, in the capacity of the president. That's what I do.
Okay. Yeah. You're no longer the
vice president. I am the vice president for the KHK Holdings now.
Okay.
Which has KHK MMA and many other projects.
Okay. So you have stepped down.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So we have to say, that's great. You stuck to your word. You told us some time back, because there have been issues with conflict of interest in other organizations, and you did tell us that the minute Brave comes to India, you would step down and only be vice president in KHK Holdings.
Right.
So that's a great step. we would say. But do you still feel there's something there, or you think it's fine now?
I think, as I said before, in India, MMA is still a nascent sport. We still need support from people who have influence over the sport, who can give their time and effort and the energy to the sport. So it's going to take some time for anybody to come out and fully dedicate and become the part of the federation on a full time. If you look at anybody for that matter in India, they will still be doing something else which might construe as a conflict of interest. But from our side, we are very clear. We want to support and develop the sport. That's number one. And number two is that AIMMAF is a non-profit company. We don't take anything out of it. We want to make sure that we develop the sport.
So now coming to Brave 5, which happened in Mumbai, I have to say, of course, I was there ringside, so I saw everything myself. I have to say I was very impressed. I think it was one of the best MMA events to happen in the country. The production value was really good. And what I really liked was the audience was also knowledgeable and respectful. They knew when the fights were going on, they were pretty quiet. They were very engaged in the fights. Can you tell us a little about the process of getting Brave to India and some behind the scenes of how hard or easy was it to put the whole show together?
So when Brave was conceptualized as a IP from KHK, the very first event we wanted to do, obviously in Bahrain, but the very next event that we wanted to do was in India. But unfortunately, that could not happen because India, we have a lot of logistic problems. We have a lot of problems in terms of how do we get things around. Things are not very easy. The ease of doing business in India is still, I would say, tough. So we started off with the process of, okay, where do we want this event to be? So President of Brave Combat Federation, Mr. Mohammed Farhad, from day one, he's been up to one and single statement. He's been telling us that if we're going to do some event, we have to make sure we do it at the biggest and the, what do you call
best
it? The best, where you get the highest limelight from that perspective. So we selected NSCI Dome, which is one of the biggest stadium, which is in the center of Mumbai, and so we chose that stadium. So it took us some time to go through the process. The stadium has a capacity of more than 4,000 people. That's the seating capacity upstairs. We have seating capacity below that. So we're happy with this event. We saw quite a turnout of people coming in.
I'll be very frank with you. I was very happy to see the turnout because I was a little skeptical about how many, it's still a growing sport. And I know the Super Fight League had some issues initially, so I was a little skeptical about how many, but what I really liked and I think was a really good step and a smart step was not to sell tickets because that is, I'm guessing, not really a strong revenue stream right now anyway, but to get a lot of people who are MMA minded and in this field and everything, who love MMA and to get them into it, so that I thought was really good because, everybody got to see it, and I thought it was really good in terms of the audience was MMA loving people.
Yep, absolutely. So as I said, the gate sales is not our priority at this moment of time, especially in India. So we thought, okay, let's give it out to people who are interested in MMA. Yeah. Unlike some promotion who get paid audience to attend, we didn't want it to pay audience to come to our event. What we wanted was real fans. And if you see fights, if you see Gary coming in and just fighting, you'll see when he called out religious calling, people were shouting. Yeah. When you saw, other guys calling, the Brazilian fighter Paulo, when he was coming in, there were Brazilian flag going around, the Indian flag, the people were supporting. When Chaitanya was fighting,
even for Nelson, there was quite a large Goan contingent.
So
and what's great was, when he got hurt, they were trying to egg him on to get up. Yes. Get up, Nelson! Come on, get up and fight! So it was really heartening to see all of this emotion.
And that's a whole. When I speak to Mohammed Farhad, that's a whole vision of his company and His Highness Sheikh Khalid is to bring all countries together into one place. That's the vision. And today we are happy to announce that the Brave Combat Federation 5, sanctioned by All India MMA Federation, was telecasted in 53 live on 53 countries and gone to more than 600 million households. So It's a huge thing for any MMA promotion. Being on live on that many countries, it's a challenge, and I guess everybody did a great job from brave officials to all the way to AIMMAF officials to run this event smoothly, flawlessly, without any hiccups.
Yeah, in fact, it was on Neo Sports in India as well, which is great.
Right.
Because I think at the end of the day, it's the media, it's the TV reach which decides the success of a promotion or not. So having that in your kitty was very important.
Sure.
And having it on the very first event you did in India was good. Now, coming to the fights, I personally thought they were excellent matchups. Of course, there were a couple of changes last minute. Mohammed Farhad had to fight Irfan, and Chaitanya had to fight Jeremy. I did think Mohammed Farhad was overmatched, because Irfan, of course, was not ready. But Mohammed, I think, is one of the future. He is already one of the best talents in the country. I think he's a fighter who can go a long way. And I personally, with full respect to Irfan, I think he fights really well. He was very good in the SFL. But I always want to see Farhad tested, because I know, seeing him fight, that he can engage in battles. So I want to see him tested by some of the best, and I know that's a gradual process. And I know last minute this was, something would just happen.
Yeah. So with Farhad, it was very simple. When Aziz pulled out, we didn't have any choice. So we wanted to put somebody else in Aziz, and in Aziz's place. Unfortunately, we had one more upset when Hamza pulled out. Yeah. Hamza pulled out because of the injury. So we had two fighters pulling out at the same time. So we had two fighters on standby.
Yeah.
We had Jeremy, and then we had Irfan. So the match was, we were deciding on, okay, who would Jeremy fight and who would Irfan fight. Okay, so we knew Chaitanya is really good. He's been coming off from a winning streak, and he got 2 belts under him and all this stuff. So he's been really built up, and we put him into a main card, and he was a guy we've really been watching to get that. Unfortunately, the fight didn't go to his side.
But it was a very close decision. It was a really good fight.
Yeah.
It was, and I think this is what really Indian MMA needs, is this standard of fighting, where you really see a lot of technical fighting and back and forth. So I think though he lost, it was still good for the sport. Right. And it was a very tight decision. It was a split decision, so it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think the decision might have been impacted because of the last round. If Chaitanya, is my personal capacity, I'm saying, if Chaitanya would have started doing what he was doing at the end of the round, if he started at 1 minute 30 seconds, things would have been really different.
Yeah,
the judge would have been.
Now, as to the fights, there's 2 more things I want to touch upon. One is, of course, the first time we had a legit rivalry between 2 Indian fighters.
Right.
Now between Gary Mangat, of course, Gurdarshan Mangat, and Abdul Munir, and there was some real drama between them. And I think the audience gets into it when they see it's real and it's not made up.
Right.
And I think that's where this was, different, is the fact that it was real, and people were getting into it because of that. I mean, our show did the first face-off between them.
Absolutely.
As well. So you could see, that it was real, and because of that, I think the emotions attached to the fight were of a different level as well.
Absolutely.
Now, do you think more such rivalries are necessary? Of course, if we see abroad, of course, a lot of these promotions, there are quite a few of these rivalries, and I think they fuel the sport. Do you think even in India, the reason I'm asking you is because there is, of course, another very big promotion, 1FC, which very clearly says we don't want to go down that road. We don't want to, because that's not our culture. Our culture is respect. We want to concentrate on the fighters only, and that's not how we do things. And they've also said, if Conor McGregor became free, we wouldn't bid for him as well.
Right.
So do you think, as far as Indian MMA goes, because we do love drama,
right?
अपने हिंदुस्तानियों को drama पसंद है काफी, कि fight है यार, मारना है ये वो. So as far as Indian MMA goes, what do you think? Do you think such rivalries are better, or do you think where people get behind their guy, or do you think the humble side of Indians is better for MMA?
I think promotions and entertainment is very important, because at the end of the day, if you look at the sport it's a sport entertainment business. A lot of fighters come up to me and ask me, sir, how can I become a fighter? How can I promote myself? I keep telling them, okay, listen, if you're good, you're best striker, you're best wrestler, you can do good jiu-jitsu and everything. It's good. That's a technical part of it. That's one area but you need to know how to promote yourself.
Tell him Facebook में जाके किसी को गाली दे और promotion मिल जाएगा.
So what any promotion looks after is that what we look after is a story. Yeah. There has to be a story about a fighter. So you would not be interested to just cheer for somebody who doesn't have a story, who doesn't have anything to say about, right? So you want to connect with the person. Yeah. The connection can be through language, connection through religion, or connection through the way you're staying, where you're staying, or the country, or whatever. There has to be connection. So when it comes to promotion, if there is no connection, there is no connection with the audience with respect to what they feel, then you lose out on a lot of larger perspective. People not interested. It just looks like, oh, two people fighting. Not many people are interested in technical. Now, how do I make sure that people who are invested in the fight? Absolutely. Who do not know MMA, who do not know if they see MMA, they have to understand, okay, there's a technical part, but on top of that, I'm rooting for, some team. Whether it's football, Manchester City versus some other club, or whether it's India versus Pakistan or some other club, any sport that you see, you always see rivalry going on. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to push up like an wrestling rivalry, a fake one, a genuine one. We want to amplify the character of a fighter. If a fighter has a very calm and composed character, we will make him more calm and composed. Yeah. We'll just amplify it. If the fighter is really hyped up, if there is a potential or there is a small possibility where he can push himself, we would love to have that. So that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to build up something false. We're just amplifying so that people get to know the real side, who they are. And when Munir fought with Gary, I know he was in the weigh-ins. He was, there was this whole tussle between who was a real Indian and all this thing. Yeah. I know Munir came backstage and told me, what should I have done with Gary? I should have asked him to sing national anthem in front of everybody. And I'm pretty sure.
Was that before the fight or after the fight?
This is after the weigh-ins. After the weigh-ins. He said I didn't want to embarrass Gary because I was 100% sure that Gary wouldn't have sang the national anthem of India. So things like that is happening. It's behind the scenes. There are a lot of things happening which nobody knows about it. And in the fight, I had goosebumps because Munir was telling Gary literally, "Kill me, kill me."
Yeah, I know. In fact, he just spoke to Gary, and he was telling me the same thing, that they were talking to each other, and Gary was telling him, how do you want this to end? And Mother and Munir was saying, or whatever, so kill me. So
it was crazy because when I'm seeing and when everybody is seeing, when they see the genuine rivalry, and Munir, he was, I think, in the fight twice. He was in the RNC. He did not Gary was not letting go, but he survived. He survived. He didn't quit. So that's something that we want.
What was because of the rivalry? I feel Abdul never gave up. Right. And he gave a really good fight. It was a really good fight, but you could see it in his eyes. That determination that I don't care what. I am not giving up. I'm not going to give up to this guy. Right. I'm not going to give up to him, and I'm going to all around. And he was giving it his all. Right. And I think that level of emotion is what makes a fight interesting. Right. Now coming to, of course, there was an NC with Nelson Perez and the guy, obviously, which was very unfortunate. It was a headbutt, nothing anybody could do, and I think that was the right decision. Some of Nelson's camp was, of course, trying to goad him into fighting, but at the end of the day, there was a doctor there, there's a referee. They took the right call. Now, as far as the last fight goes, there was some controversy from the sides of the fighters. Right. As we know that it was supposed to be 5 rounds, but there were issues, I think, with the time. It was going over time, and it became 3 rounds. Now, did the fighters know before they started fighting that it was going to be 3 rounds?
Unfortunately, no. The fighters did not know it was 3 rounds. What happens is that when something like this happens, the commission sits around, that's All India MMA Federation, we sit around, we have a discussion, and we review the entire footage, and we want to make a decision. So right now it's under appeal. The commission takes 48 hours to return back. We should be hearing back from our head of the KHK about this. The commission sends out written notice and written confirmation about this, and they will send out an intimation to everybody saying what needs to be done next.
Fair enough, because I think Habdi is his name, right?
Tahar Habdi.
Tahar Habdi was pretty adamant that he had signed a 5
round
they
did, in fact,
contract, and even Carl Booth said, you know, he was here, he didn't mind fighting an extra 2 rounds. They had fought 3 rounds, and I think it's only fair to see probably a rematch of that.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be a rematch. I'm pretty sure, but as I said, from the official perspective, we're just waiting for their confirmation from our commission. So we have a board, National Appellate Tribunal board, where we sit down and then we just have a discussion.
Now there was, of course, a post from a journalist right now who we know who was doing, in fact, post-fight interviews for us. We weren't able to speak to a lot of fighters. So he did state that he was a little, I don't know the exact words, but he wasn't very happy with the fact that, you know, all the other foreign promotions show a lot of respect to the journalists, but it wasn't really the same in our country here for a live event. So what do you have to say to that, especially since, you know, there is an ecosystem in MMA if one is to make it really successful in the country? I'm not saying it's right or wrong because I wasn't there, but there were, I think, there was a delay in the post-fight press conference and everything. So what do you have to say to that?
So as I said, it's a growing sport. India is still, we still don't have special, like if you look at other promotion, they have their in-house production team, they have everybody. So what we have done here in India is that we have outsourced our production to people. Unfortunately, they're not very competent enough in MMA, and it's, you know, people questioning us, like, why didn't you find a competent production? Because we don't have one. You know, where will we get one? You know, we have to give them experience. This is the experience. We have gone back, we've sat down, and we've collected all the feedback from everything, from the flooring, from everything that is there. So we figured out, okay, there are a few loose nuts and bolts that we need to still tie in, and Brave is going to stay here. It's not the first and end of the event. So next event onwards, I mean, you will see probably a proper proper perspective for the media and the way they get authorized to access and everything. There was a little bit of confusion from the media team because they wanted to go there somewhere, the fighters were out, and things were like that. People don't know about the entire stuff. So I guess from the next event onwards, it will be ironed out, and small issue could be done.
So now, where do we see Brave going from here? Because of course, this was the 5th event, and there's an event happening in Kazakhstan next weekend coming up. So that'll be the 6th. So it's really growing at a fast pace. What is the vision for Brave?
Okay, so I might not be the right person to tell you about the vision because I represent now AIMMAF. So whatever discussions I've had with Mohammed Farhad is that Brave is here to expand. We want to go beyond 100 countries when it comes to live telecasts. Kazakhstan was not even in the schedule. The next schedule was Brazil. After that, we had India. So Kazakhstan was not even there. We just put in. So we're expanding rapidly. The way.
But do you think like a week gap is a little too short because it's a growing promotion? Like you said, you are still sorting out things. Were you able to concentrate on India and Kazakhstan at the same time since it was only a gap?
So we have a team in each country. That's what we are doing. So in Kazakhstan we have a separate team. In Brazil we have a separate team. So every team takes care of it. In India, we don't have the competent team. We're still inexperienced. We're just developing the experience, mostly in the production. From the officiating perspective, from AIMMAF, it's flawless, no problem at all. But it's only from the event production. So I guess after this event production, these guys, they now know much better what needs to be done. Everything has been now streamlined and aligned. So it shouldn't be a problem. Next one would be a piece of cake. It's just have to just walk through.
Like I said, I thought it was one of the best, even with all the small, problems we've spoken about. Though, as a show, of course, we would want things from the press conference point of view to be better. But all in all, like I said, I think it was one of the best, if not the best, produced MMA event in India so far, and I think very quickly it will take that premier which it has taken the premier spot of the biggest MMA event in India. And the good thing is there's a lot of Indian talent in it, which is what I think the focus of a lot of us is in promoting the best of Indian talent. And I think what we got to see here was some of the best talent on display. Now, coming back to the federation, now of course we've discussed, we've already discussed issues and blah, 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 blah. Now moving forward again, because we've always felt there's something or the other, some conflict somewhere or the other with everybody. But now what is the solution for that for everybody moving forward? Because we have spoken about, even within our own association in the MMA India Show, we've also spoken about, having some guidelines for everybody.
Right.
Whereas, things like, the referee experience, like you guys had some of the best referees in the world, which is, very important in terms of fighter safety.
Right.
Because what are we here for if not for the fighters?
Absolutely.
They're the ones fighting. So, in terms of that, in terms of the referee, judges, experience, a lot of transparency, bringing in a certain amount of guidelines, which since the government hasn't done that yet, since it's not a sport. But I think somebody needs to start that process, and everybody needs to get into it together.
Right.
Even like making a pool of referees, so the referees are not attached to any association or federation in terms of like Mark Goddard or Scott are not part of any association or federation, and making sure that...
So I just wanted to clarify here something, that Mark is attached to AIMMAF, so he is the empowered referee from AIMMAF, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. So we did a course with Mark.
I saw that.
Yeah, so we had created judges and referees. So Mark always tells me this thing: all referees can be judged, but not all judges can be referees.
Of course.
So we did a course and we just did the certification program and all this thing. So from the federation, our job is to make sure fighter safety as well as making sure the results for the bout is
fighters
correct.
are correct.
The person who deserves win, they deserve the win. The fighter who deserves the win, they deserve the win. So from our side, it's very clear. We just give them license, and they feel free to practice those referee
skills
everywhere else. That's what we want. So we have categorized the referee license and all this thing.
Okay.
So federation is very straightforward. It's transparent. It doesn't have anything hidden agenda attached to it. People come, they gain experience. They should work towards the development of sports. That's a core motto for the federation. That's what we want to do.
So what's next for Brave after Kazakhstan?
From Kazakhstan, we're going to Brazil.
Okay. Back to Brazil.
Back to Brazil.
Okay.
So, and then maybe there's going to be something, I cannot officially announce it, since I'm no longer the spokesperson for KHK at this moment of time. So it's going to be Brazil. Okay. But we're going to take some time off, a month or so at least, because it's been really back-to-back events, Sit down, have a retrospective, because we have now a roster of fighters who are best in the world. We're never compromised on getting a third-grade fighter, always the best. And from India perspective, AIMMAF has to do its job of developing amateur fighters as well as making sure the pro fighters get this due support. So we're going to run that show. So for federation, that I can speak about now is that we are sanctioning YFC Yoddha Fighting Championship.
Okay.
Which
is happening in Nagaland.
It's happening in Kohima.
Right.
From 28th to 30th of this month. We have a very hectic and busy schedule. We have our national championship from May 13 and 14. We also have one of the other promotions called Boom IPFL.
Indian Boom, which happens in Kolkata.
Right, Indian Premier Fighting League. So we're sanctioning that. So we have created a whole lot of. We have Combat Carnival. Another promotion is coming up. We're supporting them. That's going to happen in June, first week of June. So Federation is quite busy in sanctioning. We're growing at a very fast pace, and we just want to continue that pace.
Well, awesome. Well, I wish you all the very best in in your role as the president of All India Mixed Martial Arts Federation. I think you've done a brilliant job as the head of Brave in India. The head of Brave or KHK in India?
So Brave is an IP.
Is an IP of
under
KHK.
KHK.
Okay. So the head of Brave and KHK in India, I think it's made an amazing start in the country, and it's given hope to a lot of young and upcoming Indian MMA fighters. It's given them something to achieve. That we want to be in this promotion.
Right.
You know, and I think everybody needs that, and I think you've managed to do that. So, you know, I want to congratulate you and wish you all the success in the future.
Thank you so very much, Parvin.
Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you all.